Chapter 2805. We're here to take you in. 3. After hearing her words, Madame Meow really wanted to find a hole to hide in. It was too embarrassing. She actually introduced herself in such a manner in front of Lung Ruoxue, that fiend. Did she think that she did not have enough hatred for her? At this moment, Madame Meow didn't even dare to look at Lung Ruoxue's expression. She wished that she had never been here, but it was impossible for her to lie to herself. Sob, with this brain-dead woman around, Lung Ruoxue would never forgive her. Madame Meow's face was instantly filled with sorrow. That resentful aura accompanied her for a long time without dissipating. However, Lung Ruoxue wasn't as angry as Madame Meow thought. Instead, she smiled and said, "Dark Family Alliance? I'm sorry, I've never heard of it." Lung Ruoxue, who had said this, had an extremely innocent expression on her face. She was also a little speechless in her heart. It seemed like this woman's princess illness was not light. However, she was the most experienced in treating princess syndrome. When a woman who called herself Princess Jiue heard Lung Ruoxue say that she had never heard of the Dark Alliance, she was instantly enraged. Her face even revealed an expression of disbelief as she shrieked. "Never heard of it? You've never heard of the Dark Family Alliance? You're indeed a country bumpkin." Country bumpkin? Why do I feel that it's because your Dark Family Alliance isn't famous enough? Have you heard of this force? After speaking to the young lady, Lung Ruoxue turned to ask Dong Fengyu and the rest. Dong Fengyu and the others were extremely honest. They even deliberately thought for a while before cautiously saying, "Young master, we've never heard of it. Look, even my men have never heard of it. I think this Dark Family Alliance is not that impressive." Lung Ruoxue said with a smile, "You? How dare you? How dare you look down on our Dark Family Alliance? I think you don't want to live anymore." When Princess Jiue heard this, she was so angry that she almost exploded. "I want to live, but I really haven't heard of it. You can't ask me to lie, right? I'm an honest and good child." Lung Ruoxue was still smiling brightly. Then, she turned to Madame Meow and said, "Chui Hua, long time no see." "Yup, long time no see." Madame Meow replied softly, still not daring to raise her head to look at Lung Ruoxue. "Sob, this girl might not be as old as her, but the pressure she gave her was not ordinary. How is President Mu?" After greeting her, Lung Ruoxue asked another question, as though it was a small talk, chatting with Madame Meow. "President Mu?" Hearing this form of address, Madame Meow felt even more embarrassed. Didn't this mean that Lung Ruoxue had heard everything that she had said? Oh my God, just kill her. She didn't want to live. One should know that Lung Ruoxue was her man's new master, and she had just made a big lie about calling her man President Mu. This time, she was really so depressed that she could not show her face. The more she thought about it, the more Madame Meow felt that she had no face to see anyone. She had embarrassed herself in front of Lung Ruoxue. "Sob, give her a piece of tofu and let her commit suicide, right?" Madame Meow was full of resentment, and when Jiaoyu saw that Lung Ruoxue had actually changed her target and ignored her, Jiaoyu, who had always thought of herself as the center of everyone's attention, felt her heart become unbalanced. "Lung Ruoxue, I'm the one who's talking to you right now. Don't bother with that idiot," she yelled without even thinking. Madame Meow, who had been called an idiot, immediately exploded in anger. With a swish, she scurried to Jiaoyu's side and picked her up like a little chick. She then angrily questioned, "Who are you calling an idiot? Fuck, you're the one who's a complete idiot, okay?" As they spoke, the two of them were ready to fight again. Lung Ruoxue looked at the scene in front of her and felt a slight headache. "Did you two come to my house to fight?" Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes flashed with a cold glint as she asked. Of course not." When Madame Meow heard this, she immediately became obedient and stood to the side like a primary school student who had made a mistake. "Yes, we're not here to fight." Jiaoyu didn't go against Madame Meow this time, but she continued, "We're here to take you in." Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue and the rest fell silent. Was he here to incorporate them? Did they hear wrong? Did the Dark Family Alliance send a few idiots to take them in? Was he trying to punish them? Hearing the princess sick Jiao Yu say this, Lung Ruoxue really wanted to ask her if today was April Fool's Day. Can you not be like this? If there's something to say, let's talk it out. What kind of international joke is this? When Jiao Yu saw that the other party's anger was immediately extinguished like a mute after she spoke, she felt extremely pleased. However, as a brainless companion, Madame Miao couldn't be proud no matter what. Thanks, you still want to take them in? What are you going to use to take them in? Just based on your status as a god king? Don't be silly. Any of the beasts here can send you back to your hometown. Madame Miao secretly complained to herself, and at the same time, she felt quite depressed that she had such a companion. She swore that she never wanted to go on a mission with Jiao Yu again in her life. Of course, the possibility of the clan releasing Jiao Yu in the future would not be very big. This guy was simply attracting hatred everywhere. In just a short while, she had offended Uncle Long, Master Ning, and the most difficult person to deal with, Lung Ruoxue, whom even Wu Xian could not do anything to. AI. At this moment, Madame Miao truly did not know how to deal with the situation. Thinking of the task she was shouldering, she didn't know how to start. He hoped that Lung Ruoxue wouldn't be so angry with Jiao Yu that she would immediately list him as a no-contact. After thinking about it this way, Madame Miao felt that it was better for her to have a private talk with Lung Ruoxue first. Although her idea was good, it was rather difficult to put it into practice. Jiao Yu didn't even give her a chance to speak. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue and the others didn't respond for a long time, Jiao Yu couldn't wait any longer and urged, Lung Ruoxue, stop wasting time. Hurry up and gather all your men. I want to give them a speech. From now on, they will be under the leadership of our Dark Clan Alliance. He even wanted to give them a lecture. Lung Ruoxue and the rest looked at each other, feeling even more speechless. At this moment, the crowd and the beasts truly felt that the woman in front of them was seriously ill. Otherwise, why would he have such a strange idea? Who used her? Who was using her as a lecture? Who did he think he was? Go and gather everyone. After a long time, Lung Ruoxue took a deep breath and suppressed the urge to strangle the woman in front of her. She then gave the order. She wanted to see what the Dark Family Alliance was up to. He actually dared to come here and point fingers at her. Did he think she was made of mud? He'll personally gather them. Yes, master. Dongfang Lin quickly replied and left. Not long after, most of the people had received orders and rushed to the living room. Moreover, there were many humans and beasts in Demon City. The spacious living room could not fit everyone, and soon, the courtyard was filled with people and countless cute little beasts. Dongfang Lin was extremely dedicated to passing on Lung Ruoxue's orders. He had informed everyone in Demon City, regardless of their relationship with them. This included Ice Soul, Shui Mo, and Bing Jie. As soon as the three Qilins appeared, the humans and beasts in the courtyard immediately made way for them. Bing Pe, who was holding the Ice Phoenix, was full of question marks. Little girl, what's the matter? Ice Spirit couldn't help but ask. Originally, he didn't want to come, but Dongfang Lin said that everyone who lived in Demon City had to attend, or else they would bear the consequences. When he heard this, he immediately felt that the matter was not small, so he dragged the unwilling Shui Mo over. When he arrived, Ice Spirit realized that everyone was here. Lung Ruoxue and the others were expressionless, so he could not guess what had happened. Something happened, but I'm not the one looking for you. It's her. Lung Ruoxue nodded and pointed at Jiao Yu. What? Ice Spirit was confused. It wasn't Shui or who was looking for them, but a strange woman. What was going on? Ice Soul glanced at Jiao Yu's strength and felt a little displeased. A puny little divine king was also worth for them to mobilize so many people. That's right, I was the one who asked you to gather. Hearing this, Jiao Yu smiled in satisfaction, but she couldn't help but secretly praise Lung Ruoxue in her heart. Lung Ruoxue was indeed obedient. There were even rumors of how terrifying she was. It simply didn't live up to its name. He was still shocked by her identity as the princess of the Dark Family Alliance. Jiao Yu couldn't hide the smugness on her face. The way she looked at Lung Ruoxue became more and more disdainful. But Lung Ruoxue didn't seem to care. She kept a faint smile on her face. Let's see if you can still laugh later. Jiao Yu cursed. Who are you? After thinking for a while, he still couldn't figure out Jiao Yu's identity as Ice Spirit, so he asked curiously. "I'm Princess Jiao Yu." Jiao Yu said smugly as she began to examine the Ice Spirit. Oh, she was a rare beauty. Then, she shifted her gaze to the others and suddenly realized that the men in Lung Ruoxue's room were all of the highest quality. At that moment, she was jealous again. However, the moment she thought about how these people would become her subordinates, the injustice in her heart subsided a little. Ice Spirit didn't like the woman looking at him, as if he was her everything. After hearing the woman's introduction, he smiled and said, "I've never heard of it. I'm Princess Jiao Yu of the Dark Family Alliance. Have you really not heard of me?" Ice Spirit's ignorance made Jiao Yu very sad. This was too much. How could she not have heard of her? No, I have another question. What is the Dark Family Alliance? Ice Spirit asked innocently. This time, Jiao Yu was completely depressed. Chapter 2806. Looking for trouble? Courting death? 1. How detestable! How detestable! Why are all these country bumpkins from Demon City? Princess Jiao was so depressed that she wanted to bang her head against the wall. She could bear the fact that Lung Ruoxue didn't know her. After all, that woman came from a small place, and it was natural that she didn't see the world. But when she told him about her identity, how could such an outstanding man in front of her not have heard of her? This was something that Princess Jiao couldn't accept. From what she knew, even though she was not as famous as Lung Ruoxue, she had already said that she was the princess of the Dark Family Alliance. How could this man not know anything about her? One must know that the Dark Family Alliance was quite important in the eyes of some major powers. And no matter how she looked at it, the man in front of her didn't seem to have come from a small corner. So she could understand the blank expression on his face when he saw her. Thinking of this, Jiao Yu couldn't help but ask, "You really haven't heard of the Dark Family Alliance and my great name?" "I really didn't." Ice Spirit's answer was still very sincere. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxue was having a hard time holding back her laughter. This princess like Jiao Yu seemed to have kicked Ice Spirit, this iron plate. Damn it, how can you not have heard of me? I'm the famous Princess Jiao. Stop! The furious Jiao Yu suddenly roared, her entire body trembling with anger. However, Ice Spirit looked at Lung Ruoxue as if she was looking at a lunatic. She then asked Lung Ruoxue with her eyes, "Where did this lunatic come from?" Lung Ruoxue couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing. This time, she had completely angered Princess Jiao Yu and successfully made her target her. With her hands on her hips, Jiao Yu shouted at the top of her lungs like a shrew, "Lung Ruoxue, how dare you mock me? I won't let you off. I'll make you pay the price." After yelling at Lung Ruoxue, she didn't give Lung Ruoxue a chance to react and continued to yell at the others. "And you guys, I won't let you off either. You will become the lowest status slaves of our Dark Family Alliance. By the way, give me the dog you're holding in your arms. I want to roast it and eat it." The last sentence was for Ice Spirit. After hearing her words, Ice Spirit's face darkened. Roast it and eat it? Ice? Fuck. She dared to say in front of him that she was going to roast his son to eat. Wasn't she courting death? You're saying, you want me to give you the little dog in my arms? Ice Spirit asked as she suppressed her anger. That's right, I'm hungry, so I'm going to eat it for lunch. Oomph. He was a man, yet he was learning how to hug a dog like a woman. Looks like I'll have to teach you a good lesson in the future. Otherwise, you'll be a complete disgrace to all men, Jiao Yu said in dissatisfaction. She didn't realize that Ice Spirit, who didn't want to argue with the crazy man, had already treated her as a dead person because of her words. The onlookers silently lit candles for the bold woman in front of them who was not afraid of death. There was probably only one woman in the world who dared to say that she would roast her son in front of his father. More importantly, Bing Yao was simply the forbidden unicorn of Ice Soul now. Therefore, this woman was definitely courting death. You still want to train me? After listening to Jiao Yu's words, Ice Soul finally reacted. He had lived for so long, but this was the first time someone had dared to speak to him like this. Therefore, he would be sorry if he didn't hold back this bold woman. Of course, but you're not the only one I want to train. Every one of you here is my target. In the future, you'll be under my leadership, so I'll train you to be the best slaves. Jiao Yu said confidently. As she spoke, there was no lack of a proud expression on her face, as if everything she had said had already become a reality. Thanks at the same time, everyone who had been unjustly accused came to the same conclusion in their hearts. This woman did have a mental problem. He had never heard of a mental hospital in the divine realm. Then where did this woman come from? Everyone was really puzzled. For a moment, a big question mark was hanging on everyone's faces. Seeing this, Jiao Yu thought that everyone was afraid. So she continued, "As long as you're obedient, I won't hit or scold you." Fine, they still wanted to hit and scold them. Lam Lai, who had been watching from the side, couldn't take it anymore. He asked Lung Ruoxue without thinking, "Shui, who's this crazy person? Where did you come from?" "Princess Jiao Yu from the Dark Family Alliance." "Little Lai Lai, were you in a daze when I introduced myself just now?" Lung Ruoxue teased calmly. Lam Lai couldn't help but question, "Are all the people from the Dark Family Alliance crazy like this?" "AI, if you're sick, you have to be treated. How could they let the people of this force out so easily? It's too dangerous." "Yup, I thought it was dangerous too, but they let it out, and it was on my territory." Lung Ruoxue agreed. As she spoke, her beautiful eyes swept over Madame Miao, who was pretending to be invisible. Madame Miao's heart started to palpitate when Lung Ruoxue glanced at her so casually. She cursed silently in her heart. It's none of my business. This was really none of her business. She was innocent. Please don't involve the innocent. At this moment, Madame Miao couldn't be bothered to explain Jiao Yu's actions. She felt that in the face of Jiao Yu's performance, no matter how many words she said, it would be useless. Instead of this, she might as well let Lung Ruoxue and the others act on their own. She couldn't care so much. After giving Lung Ruoxue an apologetic look, Madame Miao continued to remain silent. She even couldn't help but shrink into a corner to avoid attracting attention. "What do you mean by your territory? This is clearly mine." At this moment, Jiao Yu, whose face had turned red from Lung Ruoxue and Lan Lai's conversation, finally managed to shout out these words. Everyone fell silent again. Uncle Long and the others were especially depressed. This woman was obviously beyond cure. "Schwetter, what's going on? Isn't this place yours?" Ice Spirit didn't understand, but she suppressed her anger and wanted to get to the bottom of this. However, before Lung Ruoxue could answer, Jiao Yu quickly said, "It used to be hers, but after we take over this place, it'll be mine." "Of course, that includes all of you. You want to take over this place? On what basis?" Ice Spirit asked with her eyes wide open. All of a sudden, he realized that he wasn't as angry as before because the other party was really a lunatic. Otherwise, how could someone in someone else's territory say that they wanted to take over the other party so naturally? Was this something a normal person should do? Just because I'm the princess of the Dark Family Alliance, Jiao Yu said proudly. Chapter 28:07. Looking for trouble? Courting death? Too all right. At this moment, Ice Spirit had to admit that the Dark Family Alliance was quite capable. At least they had raised a crazy person. When the others present heard Jiao Yu's words, they immediately treated it as a fart and let it go. Not only that, but they were also excited to watch the show. A woman who dared to come to Demon City to steal territory had to be worshipped. Lan Lai was the first person to express this wish. "Princess Jiao Yu, right? I've decided from now on, you'll be my nauseating elephant. A target to vomit. Oomph. In the future, remember to serve me well. Although your strength is a bit low, your face is still passable, so this princess will not care so much." Jiao Yu said honestly. Hearing this, Lan Lai was embarrassed and couldn't help but think, this Princess Jiao, you should be more calculative. He really didn't have the habit of serving a psychopath. Little Lan Lai, congratulations. At this time, the crowd, who wanted to see the world in chaos, began to tease him again. Lan Lai was so embarrassed that he wanted to find a hole to hide in. If he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have talked nonsense with this lunatic. Great, now he was inside. Jiao Yu saw that so many people were envious and jealous of Lan Lai, so she waved her hand and said, "You don't have to be envious of him. As long as you perform well, you will have the opportunity to serve me. However, I have very high standards for men, and ordinary people won't be able to enter my eyes. So, if your looks don't meet my standards, please leave." As soon as these words came out, it once again hit the glass hearts of a large number of men. It wasn't that they wanted to serve Princess Juyue, but that they were disgusted by the shameless words of the woman in front of them. He really didn't know how this woman's brain worked. How could he have such a weird idea? How could the other party tell that they were envious? However, Jiao Yu was obviously living in her own world and didn't notice the nauseating expressions of the people in front of her. After that, she directed her gaze at Lung Ruoxue. "As for you, I think you should just be my uncle's concubine." "Me?" Lung Ruoxue looked around and could not help but ask. "It's you. With your status, being a concubine is already a good thing for you," Jiao Yu said disdainfully. Lung Ruoxue was speechless. She didn't want to take advantage of him like this. Okay? At this time, the middle-aged man who seemed to be Jiao Yu's uncle raised his head and looked at Lung Ruoxue with a scrutinizing look. Then, he nodded in satisfaction. Lung Ruoxue was rendered speechless by this. She really couldn't understand why the Dark Family Alliance was here. Looking for trouble? Are you looking for death? It seemed like everything was possible. At the same time, Uncle Long and Master Ning looked at each other and asked in unison, "I don't know what kind of task Princess Juyue is planning to arrange for us. You guys?" Hearing this, Jiao Yu sized up the two of them, and she couldn't help but feel a little excited. Look, the other party was the master of the Ning family. Weren't they also captured by her domineering aura? At this moment, she had long forgotten that Master Ning was not someone she could afford to offend, and was completely immersed in her own fantasy. "You guys just watch the door for me. AI, you guys are too old. There's a generation gap between us." Jiao Yu's face was full of regret, and her heart was even more lamenting. If Master Ning was a bit younger, she might have directly taken him in. However, although she disliked the other party for being a little old, she was quite satisfied with Master Ning's tactfulness. Thanks, he should be the master of the Ning family. Look, after knowing her identity, he took the initiative to send himself to her door. Very good. She liked this kind of person. After thinking about it, she gave Master Ning a satisfied look. But Master Ning was not happy. Let him guard the door? Look at your sister. If it wasn't for the fact that no one was making a move, Master Ning would have killed Princess Juyue right in front of him. He also guaranteed that the Dark Family Alliance wouldn't even dare to let out a fart. To be honest, he knew about the Dark Clan, but he had no idea when they formed an alliance. However, this didn't stop him from wanting to deal with the woman in front of him. More importantly, he wasn't afraid of the Dark Family Alliance. What a pity. Right now, everyone was obviously still admiring the woman's self-directed act and wanted to see how weird this woman was. Therefore, no one thought of destroying the other party as soon as they came up. But it was undeniable that Master Ning, who had always claimed to be very patient with women, really couldn't stand it now. Uncle Long couldn't take it either, but he had a high level of patience, so he had been holding in and waiting for it to explode. Fuck, let him guard the door too. Could the Dark Family Alliance afford to hire him? However, Uncle Long knew that the other party definitely didn't intend to pay. Why? Are you not satisfied with my arrangement? Seeing that Uncle Long and Master Ning didn't express their gratitude, Jiao Yu couldn't help but ask. "I'm satisfied. I'm very satisfied." The two of them immediately agreed. "As long as you're satisfied. Work hard in the future, and I won't mistreat you," Jiao Yu said, as if she was the master of the house. Did they really think of themselves as their master? Swear, I can't take it anymore. Let's do it. Dongfeng Lin, who had been watching the show for a long time, finally couldn't help but urge. If he continued to watch, he was afraid that he would be the next one to be arranged. No, they had already made arrangements. From now on, they would all be this woman's slaves. Just these 2 or 3 cats. Is it worth us working together? Glancing at Jiao Yu and the middle-aged man, Lung Ruoxua laughed. Among the two of them, the woman was a divine king, while the man was a divine emperor. Lung Ruoxua had no intention of making a move against them despite their strength. However, the fact that the other party dared to come to her place and make such a big fuss showed that he was extremely bold. That's true. Who's next? Dongfang Lin thought for a moment and turned to ask the person beside him. Are we really going to make a move? Do you want him dead or alive? Someone asked. As you wish. Dongfang Lin didn't seem to care. Brothers, what are we waiting for? Let's kill him. It was unknown who shouted this, but immediately after, the people around Dongfang Lin swarmed forward. The people who had attacked were all like fiends, and when they swarmed in front of Jiao Yu and the middle-aged man, the two of them began to panic. Jiao Yu even asked, "You, what are you doing? Don't mess around. I'm the princess of the Dark Family Alliance. If you hurt me, the Dark Family Alliance will never let you go." Block her mouth. Lung Ruoxua didn't want to listen to Jiao Yu's bragging anymore, so she ordered. One of them immediately took off his stinky socks and stuffed them into Jiao Yu's mouth. In the blink of an eye, the two of them were captured without any resistance. Chapter 28:08. Looking for trouble? Seeking death? 3. Jiao Yu's mouth was blocked, and she couldn't say a single word. The smell of the stinky socks almost made her faint, but just as she had the intention to faint, she felt a needle-like pain in her body, making her unable to faint even if she wanted to. The middle-aged man's mouth wasn't gagged, but when he saw Lung Ruoxua walking towards him step by step, his face revealed a hint of panic. He opened his mouth and stammered. You, what do you want? Don't mess around. I'm from the Dark Clan Alliance. You can't hurt me. Yo, so you're not a mute? Uncle Long asked in surprise. It doesn't look like it. Master Ning also agreed. Don't worry, I don't intend to hurt you. I just want to know if you're the uncle that this woman is talking about. At this moment, Lung Ruoxua smiled like a girl next door. However, the cold glint in her beautiful eyes caused one's heart to feel a chill. I am not. Under Lung Ruoxua's gaze, the middle-aged man felt an unprecedented fear. How could he still dare to admit that he was the uncle that Jiao Yu had been talking about? You really didn't, T? I hate it when people lie. Lung Ruoxua asked indifferently. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disdain for the man. I am really not. The middle-aged man said again. Whoa, why does this woman give off such a terrifying feeling? The middle-aged man was filled with regret. Why did he have any ideas about Lung Ruoxua? At this moment, he was deeply remorseful. In fact, Jiao Yu's previous performance was something that the two of them had discussed. He had long heard that Lung Ruoxua's beauty was unparalleled, so naturally, he yearned for her. In addition, Jiao Yu was quite envious and jealous of Lung Ruoxua's achievements. Thus, the two of them, who shared the same taste, came to an agreement. That was to first give Lung Ruoxua and the others a taste of their might, then take the opportunity to subdue them. The subjugation in their hearts was naturally to take over everything that Lung Ruoxua had. But now their plan had clearly failed. They had never thought about why Lung Ruoxua was not afraid of the Dark Family Alliance's reputation and dared to treat them this way. It had to be said that the two of them felt too good about themselves. Otherwise, why would they take it for granted that things would develop according to their plan? Madame Cui Hua, is he really not? Seeing the middle-aged man deny it once again, Lung Ruoxua stopped asking him. Instead, she asked Madame Miao, who was hiding in a corner, hoping to be ignored by the crowd. With that, Madame Miao instantly became the focus of everyone's attention. There's actually a fish that escaped the net. Lamlai couldn't help but laugh. I am not a fish that escaped the net. I'm not from the same country as them. Madame Miao explained with a stammer. Sob, can you not treat me like this? She had a mission here. Madame Miao was rather worried, especially when she saw the angry glares of the crowd. Her explanation seemed rather weak and powerless. Not a country? Aren't you two together? Lanlai asked. They are together, Uncle Long said in all seriousness, not giving Madame Miao a chance to speak. We have different ideas, so please don't compare us. Helpless, Madame Miao could only explain it this way. But her words made Jiao Yu quite dissatisfied. Jiao Yu, whose mouth was gagged, was struggling with all her might, hoping that someone would notice her angry expression. Miao Zuehua, if I'm treated like this, don't even think about having a good time. Jiao Yu, who couldn't speak, cursed in her heart. Unfortunately, no one cared about her thoughts. Madame Zuehua, don't be nervous. Answer me first. Is he the uncle that this Princess Jiyue is talking about? Lung Ruoxue asked directly. Yes. Madame Miao nodded heavily. The middle-aged man's face turned pale, and he shouted at the top of his lungs. Miao Zuehua, you vicious woman. How dare you frame me? Was it Uncle Jiayue who framed you? Everyone was speechless and didn't know what to say. It seemed that both Jiao Yu and her uncle had mental problems. After making such an appraisal, everyone's sympathetic eyes turned to Madame Miao. Seeing this, Madame Miao wanted to explode. However, this wasn't her house, so she endured it. Sob, I'm really too aggrieved today. At this moment, Madame Miao wished that she had never appeared. But was that possible? Not only had she come to Demon City, but she had also brought 2 idiots with her. Now, she was about to be implicated by them. Madame Miao's heart sank. She didn't know how Lung Ruoxue was going to deal with her. Would her man be implicated? Who knew that Lung Ruoxue could sense Madame Miao's worry and merely patted her on the shoulder. It's almost noon. Let's eat first. Oh, well, eat pickled vegetables for lunch. It just so happens that Cui Hua is here. Thanks, E. Madame Miao didn't know how to react for a moment. She hadn't even come up with the results of her investigation. So why did she have to eat first? However, when she saw that everyone present was calm and composed, she forced herself to calm down. It was good to eat first. At least it would buy her some time. With that thought in mind, Madame Miao took the initiative to please Lung Ruoxue and even asked for her help. Seeing her like this, Lung Ruoxue laughed in her heart. It looked like she was about to eat the pickled vegetables on the emerald flower. This feeling was really... Then, Cui Hua, who was responsible for serving the pickled vegetables, was taken to the kitchen. When Lung Ruoxue finally ate the pickled vegetables on the emerald flower, her heart finally felt satisfied. After lunch, everyone had to take an afternoon nap, as usual, so Madame Miao and the other 2 were left in the living room and ignored. Of course, other than Madame Miao, the other 2 people had their personal freedom restricted and were tied up to the pillars in the living room. Such a fact left Madame Miao speechless and at a loss for words. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't he have dealt with Jiyue and her uncle first? Why do they all go back to their rooms to sleep now? Madame Miao frowned as she sat on the chair, deep in thought. However, no matter how hard she tried to figure it out, she could not understand. Miao Zuehua, let us down while no one is around. At this time, the middle-aged man who could still speak asked in a half-commanding tone. Hearing this, Madame Miao raised her head and glanced at the middle-aged man, then lowered her head again and ignored him. However, she was snorting in her heart. Let you down? And then? Do you want Lung Ruoxue to treat you as her accomplice? Was she that stupid? Originally, their relationship wasn't very harmonious, so Madame Miao naturally didn't have the thought of helping each other at the cost of her own life. More importantly, seeing that Jiao Yu was out of luck, she was already giving her face by not stepping on her, and now she wanted her to let her go? Wouldn't that be daydreaming? When a middle-aged man saw Madame Miao's expression, he knew that she wanted to stand by and watch. He couldn't help but curse. Miao Zuehua, you bitch. How can you be so vicious? We're all part of the Dark Family Alliance. Are you really not going to do anything? Aren't you afraid that the Alliance will be unhappy if they find out that you didn't do anything to help us? I don't know if the people of the Alliance will be unhappy with me, but I can be sure that Lung Ruoxue and the others are already very unhappy with the 2 of you. So, you'd better think about how to get past Lung Ruoxue. As for me, you don't need to worry about me. Madame Miao said coldly. Then, she took out a piece of cloth from somewhere and stuffed it into the middle-aged man's mouth. Just like that, the middle-aged man was forced to shut his mouth. However, his eyes that were spewing fire glared at Madame Miao with extreme hatred, as if he couldn't wait to bite her. Unfortunately, Madame Miao didn't care at all. After an unknown period of time, The restless Madame Meow finally saw the refreshed Lung Ruoxue and the others. Did Madame Cui Hua rest well? Lung Ruoxue asked when she saw Madame Meow. It's all right. Madame Meow bit the bullet and replied. Sob. She didn't rest well at all? These people threw her into the living room and disappeared without a trace, leaving her alone to worry. Since you've rested well, let's be calm. Lung Ruoxue smiled. All right. Madame Meow nodded her head vigorously. This was exactly what she had been waiting for. Following that, Lung Ruoxue ordered her men to take Jiao Yu and the middle-aged man away, leaving Madame Meow in the living room. Madame Meow is also a member of the Dark Family Alliance? Lung Ruoxue asked directly. Yes, I am. Madame Meow hurriedly nodded. So your Dark Family Alliance is going to be my enemy? Lung Ruoxue squinted her beautiful eyes and continued to ask. This is definitely a misunderstanding. Madame Meow immediately explained. Misunderstanding? I don't think so. Before this, we all heard it clearly. That Princess Jiuyue is here to take over our demon city. Lung Ruoxue said with a half-smile. That's just what she thinks, not what we think. We hope to be on good terms with Miss Lung. Madame Meow said with a long face. What? A Dark Family Alliance has a different opinion. Lung Ruoxue smiled. Her smile was so bright and beautiful. However, this smile, in Madame Meow's eyes, sent chills down her spine. Lung Ruoxue was not an easy person to get along with, and now that Jiao Yu and her two idiots had caused this, her impression of the Dark Family Alliance would probably take a sharp turn for the worse. AI, was this good? Although Madame Meow was a little anxious, she still replied honestly, it is indeed so. The Dark Families, led by our Mu family, would like to have the opportunity to cooperate with Miss Lung, but the family that Jiao Yu represents does not agree. They want to take us in. Lung Ruoxue laughed coldly. Previously, she wanted to see what other tricks that Princess Jiao Yu could pull, so she didn't act up on the spot. But now, she's seen enough. Naturally, she wouldn't allow a small character like Jiao Yu to continue to act arrogantly in front of her. However, it was not her place to deal with the woman, because Ice Spirit had already reserved her. Chapter 2809. I want to take it, all right? I'm not too sure about the details. I only know that the Dark Clans led by Jiuyue are strongly opposed to befriending Miss Lung. They feel that Miss Lung's strength, Madame Meow, could not finish her sentence, but Lung Ruoxue already understood what she meant. In that case, why did you send her here? Did you come here on purpose to make things difficult for me? Or is the Dark Family Alliance itching for my help? Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly. Although she had a smile on her face when she said this, Madame Meow's heart was particularly uneasy. After some thought, she replied honestly, the Alliance decided to send them here after some discussion. I can't do anything about it. Powerless? Well, you're quite helpless. So, I don't understand why the Dark Family Alliance would send someone like you who is powerless. Could it be that there's no one left in the Dark Family Alliance? Lung Ruoxue suddenly changed the topic and spoke in a cold tone. They sent me here because I've met Miss Lung once. Madame Meow explained patiently. You want to play the emotional card? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Ugh. Madame Meow was at a loss for words. Even though her family did have such thoughts, could she admit it? Right now, she could not quite grasp Lung Ruoxue's thoughts, so she did not dare to speak carelessly, afraid that she would say something that would make this ancestor unhappy. Then uncle and nephew Jiuyue, do you still plan to take it back? Lung Ruoxue continued to ask when she saw that her opponent was silent. What does this mean? That pair of idiots didn't want to give it to them? In fact, she didn't really care whether she returned it or not, but she was afraid that Jiao Yu's family wouldn't let it go. However, she believed that Lung Ruoxue shouldn't be afraid. Otherwise, she wouldn't have asked. After thinking for a while, Madame Meow replied with a serious expression, Our Mu family doesn't really care about Jiuyue and her uncle. We're just afraid that Jiao Yu's family will have some ideas. It's good to have an idea, Lung Ruoxue said with a half-smile. Yup, Madame Meow laughed awkwardly. It seemed like the Dark Family Alliance was also going to pay a huge price. They'll have to trouble Madame Cui Hua to return and tell your alliance that we're confiscating Princess Jiao Yu and her uncle. Lung Ruoxue suddenly said. Then, she stood up and prepared to send the guest off. When Madame Miao saw this, she was dumbfounded. Was she being chased out? The master had already stood up, so how could she still sit down? How could she just leave like that? It seemed that she had not completed her task yet. Madame Miao opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but when she saw Lung Ruoxue's cold gaze, she realized that she couldn't say a single word. In her depression, Madame Miao still left dejectedly. At the same time, Jiao Yu and her uncle, who had fallen into Ice Spirit's hands, had no idea that their end was coming. While Ice Spirit was dealing with them, the two of them still wanted to haggle with Ice Spirit, which made Ice Spirit speechless. When Lung Ruoxue and the others came to watch the show, they happened to see Ice Spirit's helpless expression. In her confusion, Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask, Senior, why do you look like you've just suffered a blow? Could it be that the uncle and nephew are making you feel conflicted? Thanks, yup. I'm in awe of the shamelessness of these two humans. Ice Spirit replied in a bad mood. Why don't you tell me? Dongfang Lin's curiosity was piqued. He leaned over to Ice Spirit and laughed evilly. This woman said that as long as I let her go, she would devote her life to me and even let me be her husband. Ice Spirit told him honestly. Pucci, hearing this, Lung Ruoxue and the others couldn't help but burst out laughing. They had to admit that they really admired Jiao Yu. Even at this time, she was still thinking of using her beauty as a trap. It was just that she had used the wrong person. Little girl, you don't have to smile. The man also said that if you let him go, he will give you to me. Seeing Lung Ruoxue's cheery smile, Ice Soul added. This time, it was Lung Ruoxue's turn to be unable to smile. She really couldn't understand how Jiao Yu and her uncle's brain circuits worked. How could they be so different from ordinary people? Could it be that the Dark Family Alliance had produced some strange people? At the thought of the Dark Family Alliance, Lung Ruoxue suddenly turned to Uncle Long and Master Ning and asked, Uncle Long, Godfather, when did the Dark Generation form an alliance? I don't know. The Dark Clan has always been secretive. Even if they have formed an alliance, I'm afraid they won't spread it out. But according to my guess, the reason why the Dark Clans formed an alliance should have a lot to do with that bitch, Wu Yin. Master Ning said, after thinking carefully. What? Lung Ruoxue's face was filled with question marks. There was a period of time when Wu Yin wanted the people of the Dark Generation Alliance in the Divine World. At that time, many people of the Dark Generation were captured. Later on, the Dark Generation seemed to have withdrawn from the Divine World and disappeared without a trace. Now, it seems like the Dark Generation is recuperating and storing up their strength. Today, they should be coming out of the Divine World again. Master Ning explained with a smile. In that case, there are some unspeakable things between them and that bitch, Ripple Mist. Lung Ruoxue laughed and teased. This isn't strange. After the Ripple, which became a divine master, some people from the Dark Clans caused her a lot of trouble. They even secretly spread rumors that her position as a divine master was not legitimate, that her words were not right, that she had stolen it, and so on. All of these things made the Ripple Witch angry, so she naturally spent a lot of effort to deal with them. Master Ning continued. Shuer, there are a few elders in the Dark Clan who used to be my friends. Like me, they're also loyal to Master Yu. I just don't know if they're still alive. After all, we haven't contacted each other for many years. Uncle Long said. This was also one of the reasons why he didn't attack in a fit of rage after Jiao Yu revealed that she was a member of the Dark Family Alliance. Uncle Long, what do you think of Uncle and Nephew Jiao Yu? Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but ask when she saw that Uncle Long seemed to have some history with the Dark Clan. What thoughts can I have? That kind of brain-dead person is definitely not the descendant of my friends. However, even if he is, it doesn't matter. I believe that this is definitely not the intention of my old friends. Uncle Long said with certainty. I keep feeling that something's not right. I don't know if you guys feel the same way. Lung Ruoxue asked after hearing Uncle Long's words. Shuer, Are you trying to say that the Dark Family Alliance is not peaceful? Master Ning asked. Yes, but I'm afraid that's only one of the reasons. What I don't understand is, why did they send uncle and nephew Jiayue? Are you really trying to annoy us? Lung Ruoxue voiced out her doubts. Although she had asked Madame Miao clearly didn't know much about it, and only said that it was the Alliance's decision. Why did the Alliance make such a decision? What's the secret behind this? Shuer, why are you thinking so much? You'll know eventually. Seeing that Lung Ruoxue was deep in thought again, I's soul could not help but ask. Chapter 28:10. I want to take it, all right? All right. I don't want to think about it anymore. No matter what the Dark Family Alliance's goal is, it'll just deal with it when the time comes. Lung Ruoxue laughed. That's more like it. In any case, it'll never let that Princess Jiayue off. Oomph. She wants to eat my son? I'd like to see if she has the life to do so. As for her uncle, they'll leave him to you. Ice Spirit said to Lung Ruoxue with a vicious look. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue felt helpless. Could she say that she didn't need Ice Spirit to leave her stupid uncle to her? However, Ice Spirit did not care if Lung Ruoxue was willing to accept him or not. She went into the room and pulled Jiao Yu's uncle out. She threw him in front of Lung Ruoxue and said, take him away. I won't take it, all right? Looking at the unconscious middle-aged man on the ground, Lung Ruoxue was in a dilemma. What's wrong? Do you need me to carry it back for you? Seeing that Lung Ruoxue didn't have any reaction, Ice Spirit asked with a smirk. Senior, isn't it a bit inappropriate to separate uncle and nephew? Lung Ruoxue was very reserved, but Bing Po waved his hand and said, What's wrong with that? It's not good to put them together. These two are singing the same tune. It's simply unbearable. So, take one of them away quickly, or I can't guarantee that one of them will live to see the sun tomorrow. Obviously, Ice Spirit couldn't take it anymore. Senior, I don't need them to see the sun tomorrow, really. Lung Ruoxue was still struggling. Even though the middle-aged man had disgusted her, she was too lazy to deal with him. However, she did not expect Ice Soul to be disgusted by him. What a loathsome fellow. Shuya, don't say I didn't warn you. Even if you want to kill him, you have to wait for the Dark Family Alliance's reaction before you do it. Otherwise, do you think they would still be alive? Ice Spirit raised her eyebrows. All right then. Lung Ruoxue didn't expect Ice Spirit to think this way. No wonder this middle-aged man was only slightly injured and his clothes were in a mess, but he was still alive. After a moment of shame, she still accepted the middle-aged man reluctantly. After she ordered for the middle-aged man to be locked up in the cell, Lung Ruoxue returned to her room. On the other side, Madame Miao had also rushed back to her family without stopping. After reporting the situation in Demon City to her grandfather, she heaved a deep sigh of relief. She hoped that her grandfather would not blame her for not doing her job well. However, she really couldn't be blamed for this. Who knew that Jiaoyu would be in such a daze as soon as she came up? If she had known this would happen, she would not have brought those two idiots with her. However, what Madame Miao didn't expect was that after her grandfather heard her report, he only smiled and didn't have much of a reaction. Madame Miao didn't know what was going on and left her grandfather's room with a depressed look. However, not long after, Madame Miao received news that the Dark Family Alliance had called for an emergency meeting. Of course, with her status, she was not qualified to attend such a meeting. However, after thinking about it carefully, she guessed what it was about. As such, she actually felt more relaxed. However, at this moment, the Dark Family Alliance's meeting hall was filled with a tense atmosphere. Other than the three of them, all the elders had question marks on their faces. Although many of them didn't know what had happened, there were rumors that something had happened to the Alliance. So, all the elders felt really uneasy. Thanks, one had to know that the so-called accident could be big or small. On the big side, the entire Alliance would be affected. On the small side, nothing would happen. However, when the elders of the Dark Family Alliance saw the serious expressions on the three people's faces, they couldn't relax at all. Everyone, I called you here today to discuss something important. After a long silence, a middle-aged man on the left of the leader spoke. According to the ranking of the Dark Clan Alliance, The three at the head were the Alliance Master and Vice Alliance Master. The one in the middle was naturally the Alliance Master, while the other two at the left and right were the Vice Alliance Masters. The one who spoke was one of the Vice Alliance Masters. As soon as he said this, the people in the lower seats immediately perked up and waited for the other party to continue. The middle-aged man sighed and paused on purpose. When he saw that his words had attracted everyone's attention, he continued, "Of the three people we sent to Demon City, other than Cui Hua, Jiao Yu and Hong Village have been detained by the enemy." It was detained? Everyone looked at each other when they heard this. What did this mean? Why did you detain him? Are you looking down on the Dark Family Alliance? For a time, everyone was discussing in private. The Vice Alliance Master who had spoken clearly did not intend to stop their discussion. He even looked at the middle-aged man, sitting in the middle with a slightly provocative look. However, the middle-aged man who had been provoked was particularly calm and composed. It was obvious that he had no intention of making a sound at this time. Seeing this, one of the Vice Alliance Masters was a little angry. Why? The Vice Alliance Master could not understand how Mu Duo could still be so calm when things had already come to this point. Didn't he want to be on good terms with Lung Ruoxue? Now that Lung Ruoxue had captured their men, it was clearly a slap to their faces. How could they maintain a good relationship with each other? Alliance Master, don't you have anything to say? The Vice Alliance Lord asked with a cold smile. When he asked this question, the people who were discussing also stopped in unison and looked up at Mu Duo. Vice Alliance Leader Hong, what do you want to hear from me? Smiling, Mu Duo asked with squinted eyes. Zhu Yue and Hong Tsuen have been captured by Lung Ruoxue. As the leader of the Dark Family Alliance, you have to stand up for them. The Vice Alliance Lord said with a righteous expression. Yup, I should stand up for them. But Vice Alliance Master Hong, don't you want to explain why they were captured? Mu Duo still spoke with a kind attitude. How could he be ashamed? Vice Alliance Master Hong couldn't say it. He'll speak for Vice Alliance Leader Hong. Seeing the other party's troubled expression, the other Vice Alliance Master also laughed. Then he vividly described what Jiao Yu and Hong Village had done in Demon City. When everyone heard this, they were all dumbfounded and didn't know how to react. Taking over Demon City? This was too. Everyone present could not help but shiver. Who was Lung Ruoxue? That's a demon who doesn't even care about fog. And Jiao Yu actually dared to take them under her banner, even under the banner of the Dark Family Alliance. Fuck, wasn't this just drawing hatred to them? In an instant, most of the people present were furious. Although the Mu, Hong, and Yin families were in charge of the alliance, the power of the three families was not permanent. Among the three families, except for the Mu family, who was much stronger than the other families and was the best candidate for the alliance leader, the other families in the alliance were all equally strong. Therefore, the position of the Vice Alliance Leader was almost never fixed. As such, the position of the Deputy Alliance Leader was not much higher than the elders present. Chapter 2811. I want to take it, all right? 3. Especially after hearing about this, the elders who originally had some respect for Vice Alliance Master Hong immediately glared at him and caused trouble. Vice Alliance Leader Hong, you have to give us an explanation. An elder said angrily. What explanation do you want to hear from me? We can't even be sure of the truth of this matter. Do you want me to explain? Don't just make things up based on hearsay. You're just going with whatever he says, all right? You guys watched Yue grow up. Don't you know what kind of child she is? Deputy Alliance Master Hong pretended to be angry when he was questioned. Vice Alliance Leader Hong, are you going to say that I'm talking nonsense? After hearing his words, the other Vice Alliance Master beside him asked in a slightly displeased manner. Deputy Alliance Leader Yin, you've misunderstood. How could I say that you're talking nonsense? Didn't you also hear from others? Vice Alliance Master Hong said. Yes, Deputy Alliance Master Yin. Deputy Alliance Master Hong isn't talking about you. He's talking about me. Hearing this, Mu Duo smiled and said, I'm not talking about you, Alliance Master Mu. However, I have a few questions that I need you to explain to us. Vice Alliance Leader Hong quickly said, Please ask. Mu Duo said very boldly. As far as I know, This matter was reported by Cui Hua, right? Vice Alliance leader Hong asked. That's right. Mu Duo nodded. If that's the case, then I want to know, if Jiuyue really did offend Lung Ruoxue as Cui said, why is it that only my Jiaoyue and Hong village are detained, while your Cui is safe and sound? Didn't they go to Demon City together? Vice Alliance leader Hong's face was filled with a cold smile. His question had obviously led some of the elders' thoughts astray, making them doubt the truth of the matter. However, Mu Duo calmly asked, do you want Cui Hua to be detained with Jiaoyu and Hong village? Why would I think that way? Vice Alliance leader Hong immediately denied it. It's best if you don't. Mu Duo smiled and said, it's just as you said. We watched Jiaoyu grow up. So, I'm not surprised that she would say something like that. Everyone, think carefully. Hasn't Jiaoyu always been arrogant and despotic in our league? She even bullied our family's Tsuohua a lot, sometimes in front of me, her grandfather. And our Mu family was magnanimous enough not to argue with the Hong family. This is something everyone knows, right? But now, Jiuyue is bullying Lung Ruoxue. Do you think she will let Jiuyue go like our Mu family? After Mu Duo finished asking, he stopped to see the reaction of everyone present. When he saw that most of the elders nodded in agreement, he continued. As everyone knows, Lung Ruoxue is someone who can clearly distinguish between gratitude and grudges and will definitely take revenge. It was Jiaoyue and Hong village who offended her, and it had nothing to do with my Tsuehua, so she naturally wouldn't make things difficult for her. And in order to return to the Alliance to report, Cui Hua can't stay in Demon City to accompany Jiaoyu and Hong village. Of course, if you want to blame Tsuehua for being disloyal just because she didn't go through the same trouble, then I have nothing to say. In short, I understand my granddaughter. She wouldn't make up some boring lies to frame Jiaoyue and Hong village. However, there's no proof for this, so I've decided to take you to Demon City to figure out this matter and solve it. You don't have any objections, right? After Mu Duo finished speaking, he raised his eyes and swept them over the crowd. Seeing that no one spoke, he took it that the other party had tacitly agreed. At this moment, Vice Alliance Master Hong, who was shocked by Mu Duo's words, finally reacted and stopped him. Alliance Master, how could you make such a decision? Lung Ruoxue is just a silly little girl. How could she be worthy of such a large number of people? Do you have a better idea? After hearing Deputy Alliance Master Hong's words, Mu Duo asked in return with a sincere expression. Vice Alliance Master Hong was a bit listless. If he had a good plan, he would have gone to Demon City to rescue Jiaoyu and Hong village. Why would he still be sitting here? Since they're ISNT, then we have no choice but to make a trip down personally. Also, please remember that Lung Ruoxue is no ordinary little girl. She's Master Yes disciple. Mu Duo cautiously reminded. Just like that, under Mu Duo's gentle and strong influence, almost all the members of the Dark Family Alliance were mobilized and headed towards Demon City in a grandiose manner. This time, Madame Miao naturally followed along. While the Dark Family Alliance was on their way to Demon City, Lung Ruoxue had already received the report from the Silver Rats. They said that an unknown force was heading in their direction, and they even asked if they should attack them. When Lung Ruoxue and the others heard the question of whether to snipe, they were all speechless. No one could understand why the Silver Rats, who had always been mild-tempered and timid, would suddenly become so violent. However, it was obvious that the violence of the Silver Rats was not without traces. In fact, ever since Jiaoyu had announced that she wanted to take them under her wing, the Silver Rats had become somewhat abnormal. Aside from working even harder every day to report all kinds of news, any stranger who stepped into Demon City's territory would be regarded as an enemy by the Silver Rats, who were on guard against a great enemy. In the words of the Silver Rat King, damn it, if you want to take them in, you'll never be able to return. However, very few people had set foot in Demon City's vicinity in the past few days, so all the Silver Rats were holding back their anger. Now that they finally had a stranger, of course, they would not let him go. Thanks when she saw the Silver Rats looking at her expectantly, Lung Ruoxue was instantly overwhelmed with cuteness. Then, She could not bear to refuse the requests of the silver rats, so she only said, "Do as you see fit," and then the silver rat king left with a group of subordinates, cheering and jubilantly. "Schwer, those strangers are most likely from the Dark Clan Alliance." Uncle Long couldn't help but remind them after the silver rats left. "Yes, it's possible. However, who they are has nothing to do with me. I just want these little guys to be happy." Lung Roashua laughed evilly. "AI." Uncle Long sighed helplessly. What else could he say to a master who had no principles for his pet? The only thing he could do was to pray that the people of the Dark Family Alliance wouldn't be tortured too badly. Otherwise, he would be cursed again when he saw his old friends. Uncle Long's idea was good, but he was still shocked when he saw the people from the Dark Family Alliance a few days later, because the other party situation was too horrible to look at. Not to mention his injuries and the tattered clothes on his body. But why did these people in front of him look like they had seen their family? Uncle Long couldn't figure it out, no matter how much he thought about it. Meanwhile, the people of the Dark Family Alliance, led by Mu Duo, burst into tears when they saw Uncle Long and the others. They didn't even say anything. Instantly, Lung Ruakshu's group fell silent. Poor thing. Why'd he end up like this? Most of these people were not seriously injured, but their injuries were all on their faces. The claw marks were so obvious that it was hard not to notice them. What's more, the scars on some people's faces were like a landscape painting. If you took a closer look, the injuries on these guys could definitely be pieced together to form a map. As they looked at the familiar map, Lung Roashua and the rest suddenly understood. Wasn't this the map of the God world? He really didn't know who had come up with such a creative idea. At this moment, someone couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. With someone taking the lead, the crowd couldn't hold back their laughter. Hearing the other party's carefree laughter, Mu Duo and the others felt their faces burning. Sob. They were so embarrassed that they had lost all their face. However, they truly did not understand why Demon City's beasts had suddenly gone crazy and attacked them in unison. It was said that the beasts here had already submitted to Lung Roashua, right? Thinking of this, Deputy Alliance Master Hong immediately questioned, "Lung Roashua, you were the one who ordered those beastie to go crazy, right? What did I order them to do?" Hearing this, Lung Roashua raised her brows and asked, feeling speechless, "You let those reserved creatures attack us." Deputy Alliance Leader Hong roared. Originally, he was already somewhat repulsed by coming here. Now that he was forced to come and was treated like this, how could he bear it? What a joke. "Did I know you were here?" Lung Roashua laughed coldly. "That's right. You didn't even inform us before you came. Moreover, our Demon City's beasts have always been docile and don't hurt people. Who knows if you guys angered them? So they attacked you." Dongfang Lin chimed in with a smile, but his handsome face was still filled with confusion. "Miss Lung, we really didn't anger those beastie," Mu Duo explained when he heard the other party say this. "Then how could they attack you?" Lung Roashua was still confused. "I can tell you this." Suddenly, an angry voice sounded in everyone's ears. Then, an ice-blue puppy-like beastie appeared in the air. On the head of this little dog, there was a snowy white kitten that looked like Lai Yang. The kitten yawned and glanced at Mu Duo and the others indifferently before turning its face away. Seeing this combination, Mu Duo was a little puzzled at first, but then his eyes widened and he looked at the ice-blue puppy in disbelief. Isn't this a Qilin cub? How did it appear in Demon City?" According to what Mu Duo knew, the Qilin clan had always been very strict with the protection of their young and would not allow their young to wander outside. So how could he explain this one? Mu Duo recognized Bang Yi's identity as a Qilin, but it was a pity that not everyone had eyes as sharp as his. At least, Vice Alliance Master Hong didn't recognize him. Not only did he not recognize him, but he also glared at Bang Yi with a face full of anger and roared, "You detestable little Qiansheng, I must kill you and eat your meat today." He still had a deep memory of this dog, because most of the injuries on his body were caused by the dog in front of him. If he didn't kill this dog, it would be hard to dispel the hatred in his heart. Chapter 28:12. What should they do? 1. Kill them and eat them. Hearing this, Mu Duo was drenched in cold sweat, and his face turned pale with fear. At this moment, he suddenly had the same feeling as Cui Hua, which was that he regretted bringing Deputy Alliance Master Hong here. This guy was too good at drawing hatred. He actually wanted to eat the Qilin cub. Fuck, was that even edible? If you dare to eat them, they will dare to exterminate your entire family tomorrow. Mu Duo cursed in his heart in anger. He really wished he had never known that idiot. However, this was obviously impossible. Hence, his only hope was that Lung Ruoxue and the rest would not implicate the innocent. But what he didn't know was that Jiao Yu had also said the same thing. So the former Qilin clan leader, Bing Pe, had been suppressing his anger for a long time. And obviously, Jiao Yu was not enough to vent the hatred in his heart. It could also be said that Ice Soul was waiting for the unlucky guy to come to her. However, when Bing Yao heard that someone was going to eat him, he didn't get angry. Instead, he grinned and provoked. You want to eat me? Come on. If you don't eat me, you'll be the one I raised. Your whole family is. Detestable. Little Chinsheng, I won't let you off. Hearing that, Vice Alliance leader Hong was immediately infuriated. He wanted to charge forward and beat Bing Yao up, but Bing Yao didn't dodge at all. Instead, she floated in the air calmly. Seeing this, Mu Duo hurriedly stopped Vice Alliance Master Hong, who had already lost his mind in anger. However, Vice Alliance Master Hong didn't know that the other party was doing this for his own good. He actually shouted at Mu Duo, "Mu Duo, you useless fellow. Our Dar family alliance is being bullied. It's fine if you don't help, but you actually want to stop me? Let me tell you, you might be afraid of Lung Ruoxue, but I'm not. Today I'm going to teach this little Qiansheng a good lesson." The extremely furious Vice Alliance Master Hong was not even willing to maintain the respect he had for Mu Duo on the surface. When Mu Duo saw that his good intentions were taken for granted, he immediately let go of his hand. Forget it, the other party can do whatever they want. He couldn't be bothered. In fact, if it wasn't for the fact that he was afraid of angering the Qilin clan behind this little Qilin and causing the entire Dark Family Alliance to be angry, he wouldn't even care about what the other party did. And now, she didn't appreciate his good intentions. Since that was the case, why should he be a good person in vain? After Mu Duo released his hand, Vice Alliance Master Hong was stunned at first, then he became even more furious. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Fuck, he really didn't care. In fact, he just wanted to provoke Mu Duo. Who would have thought that he really didn't intend to intervene? What should he do now? Vice Alliance Master Hong, who was a little dumbfounded and in a difficult position, was unwilling to admit that he had no way to deal with Lung Ruoxue and the others without Mu Duo. Hence, he threw caution to the wind and glared at Mu Duo. Then, he shouted at the people of the Dark Clan Alliance, "Everyone, as a member of the Dark Association, we have always taken revenge. Therefore, we can't let an outsider bully us. Everyone follow me. Let's show them our power." After being incited by Vice Alliance Master Hong like this, there were really a few brainless fools who wanted to join in the jeering. Seeing this, Mu Duo made a prompt decision and said, "Whoever dares to act rashly will no longer be a member of our Dark Family Alliance." As soon as he said that, the restless people in the Dark Family Alliance calmed down immediately. No longer a member of the Dark Family Alliance meant that they would no longer be protected by the Alliance. This was a fatal blow to any family that had as many enemies as the stars in the sky. With that, no one dared to cause a scene with Vice Alliance Master Hong anymore. Seeing this, Vice Alliance Master Hong immediately said anxiously, "Don't listen to him. He doesn't dare to drive you out. You should know that our family's ancestor is still alive. It's not Mu Duo's turn to call the shots in the alliance of the Dark Families." Once again, he incited such a move, and some people really wavered. However, those who were wavering weren't stupid. They didn't blindly listen to Vice Alliance leader Hong. Instead, they began to observe. Thanks at this time, another Vice Alliance master also said, "Elders of the Yin clan, listen up. You're not allowed to blindly interfere with Vice Alliance Master Hong's affairs. Otherwise, don't blame me for turning my back on you." Although the Vice Alliance leader's words were directed at the elders of the Yin clan, there was no lack of warning in his words. He wanted to let all the elders know that he shared the same opinion as the alliance leader. With his statement, some of the wavering people were even more conflicted. Should they fight or not? You guys, are you all that afraid of Lung Ruoxue? You've disgraced our dark family alliance. Seeing Deputy Alliance Master Yin and Mu Duo standing together, Deputy Alliance Master Hong gritted his teeth in hatred and angrily rebuked. However, neither of them paid any attention to Deputy Alliance Leader Hong's words. They looked up at the sky, obviously treating his accusation as air. Lung Ruoxue, who had been innocently shot, saw that the atmosphere was a little stiff. She smiled and asked, "Do you want to fight me? Or do you want to teach Bing Yao a lesson?" Of course, it's to teach this little reserved life a lesson." Deputy Alliance Master Hong was stunned for a moment before he said, "If that's the case, why do you keep mentioning me? If you continue like this, they'll take it as a provocation." As Lung Ruoxue spoke, she suddenly put on a straight face and said to Vice Alliance Leader Hong in a serious manner. Vice Alliance Master Hong did not know what to say. He wanted to test Lung Ruoxue's limits too. Recently, the outside world had been talking about Lung Ruoxue like she was a god, so he had long wanted to meet her. He didn't believe that a woman could really have such great abilities. In his opinion, she was a woman. It's better to give birth at home and not come out in public. If all women were so strong, what was the point of having men? It had to be said that Vice Alliance Master Hong was a standard male chauvinist. Therefore, he looked down on women who were fiercer than men. At the thought of this, for some reason, Deputy Alliance Master Hong spoke out his true thoughts. "I won't provoke a woman. In my opinion, women should only stay at home and give birth to children." Vice Alliance Leader Hong said arrogantly, "Give birth to a child?" Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes sized up the middle-aged man with a smile that was not a smile. She then asked, "If it's really as you said, that women should only stay at home to give birth, then why did you let Jiao Yu out?" She had already heard about this person's relationship with Jiao Yu from Tsong, so she wanted to hear his opinion. Vice Alliance Master Hong didn't expect the other party to ask such a question, and he was at a loss for words. Jiao Yu is no ordinary woman. After holding it in for a long time, Vice Alliance Master Hong finally said this. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but laugh. With a mocking expression, she said, "She's quite unusual because she wants to eat ice cream, just like you. You're indeed my granddaughter, thinking the same thing as me. It's better to keep this little reserve to eat meat, in case it causes trouble everywhere." Vice Alliance Leader Hong said proudly. Chapter 28:13. What should they do? 2. He was proud, but Mu Duo and Deputy Chief Yin, who had already received Mu Duo's voice transmission, had ashen faces. This was the rhythm of courting death, and it was the dead kind. AI. He was beyond saving, so they had better stay away from this idiot. At the same time, the two of them quietly put some distance between them and Vice Alliance Master Hong, and stood to the side without making a sound. During this time, when they saw Lung Ruoxue's gaze, the two of them even smiled at each other in an attempt to please her. Did I cause trouble? Hearing the other slandering her, Bing Yao unhappily ran to Lung Ruo and asked. No, I didn't. Lung Ruoxue said as she stroked Bing Yao's fur. But he and that stupid woman both want to eat me. The ice dragon felt wronged. Since it didn't take the initiative to cause trouble, why did someone want to provoke it? Did he really think that it was easy to bully? Let him eat. If he doesn't eat you, then you eat him. Lung Ruoxue kindly suggested. Good idea, Bing Yao said happily. Then he sized up Vice Alliance Master Hong, as if he was looking at his prey, even giving a few comments from time to time. For example, a certain part was too thin, a certain part was not well proportioned, and so on. Vice Alliance Master Hong was infuriated by Bing Yao's criticism. In his rage, he charged towards Bing Yao and Lung Ruoxue without thinking. However, even though they didn't know who Vice Alliance Leader Hong's target was, the man and beast weren't afraid of anyone. Just as Vice Alliance Leader Hong was about to approach, Bing Yao shouted at the top of her lungs, Father, someone is going to eat your son. Quickly come and save me. Lung Ruoxu's mind was in a mess when she heard this. It's really different now that you have someone backing you. She was envious and jealous. But who should she call for? Uncle Long, Godfather, help. After some thought, Lung Ruoxu also pretended to shout loudly. Hearing this, Uncle Long and Master Ning were both speechless, but neither of them moved. Seeing this, Lung Ruoxu could only continue to plead, Dongfang Yu, Dongfang Lin, help. When the two brothers from the Dongfang family heard Lung Ruoxu's cry for help, they shot her a look of disdain in unison. Then, they similarly ignored her. At that moment, Lung Ruoxu was filled with sorrow. How could these unloyal guys leave him to die? Just as Lung Ruoxu was complaining and hiding her grievances, a blue figure descended from the sky like a celestial being and hugged Bing Yao. Then, an unparalleled pressure attacked Deputy Alliance Master Hong, forcing him to take dozens of steps back. He even spat out a mouthful of blood. You dare to eat my son? You're really looking for death. Isol said angrily. Who are you? What's going on? Vice Alliance Master Hong asked in disbelief. This person was so strong. He was definitely not someone he could deal with. For a moment, Vice Alliance Master Hong deeply regretted his actions. Why did he act so rashly? This was great. He had kicked a big iron plate. Are you deaf? Didn't I just say that you dare to eat my son? Are you looking for death? Ice Spirit glanced at Vice Alliance Master Hong indifferently, as if he was looking at a dead man. This little dog is your son? Vice Alliance Master Hong didn't expect the puppy's father to be so powerful. This didn't make sense. Vice Alliance Master Hong couldn't understand it no matter how hard he thought, but Mu Duo and Vice Alliance Master Yin knew that Bing Yao wasn't a dog. Thanks, AI. Mu Duo sighed again and again. He knew it. How could the Qilin clan allow the little Qilin to live outside? So it had a father to accompany it. At this moment, several more figures appeared, and the man in the lead roared angrily, Fuck! Who dares to bully my little prince? Little prince? Who was it? Mu Duo and the others were all stunned, but very quickly, Mu Duo, who knew Bing Jie's identity, immediately reacted. Your sister. This Qilin was actually a prince of the Qilin race. Then its father was the Qilin clan leader. Thinking of this, Mu Duo's face turned even paler. However, since the matter had already been stirred up, it was not realistic for him to say that he did not know Deputy Alliance Master Hong. More importantly, if he said that he did not know that idiot, it would be a wonder if they would believe him. After thinking for a while, Mu Duo bowed to Isol and said, Senior, Vice Alliance leader Hong has offended you. I hope you won't vent your anger on the Dark Family Alliance. Are you ordering me? Ice Spirit narrowed his eyes and asked in a cold voice. He understood what the other party meant, but he had to pretend to be confused. Obviously, Mu Duo was frightened by Ice Spirit's words. After his heart trembled, Mu Duo quickly said, Senior, how could I dare to order you? However, Vice Alliance Master Hong's actions are personal, and we, the Dark Family Alliance, do not approve of it. So, I hope that Senior can forgive the people of the Dark Family Alliance. After all, they are innocent. I don't care if they're innocent or not, but if they want to eat my son, I won't be polite. Ice Spirit said unhappily. You bastard. He had finally found his son, and he didn't even dote on him enough, yet someone still wanted to eat him? If he really let these people go, what prestige would he have in the future? Seeing that Ice Spirit was not so easy to talk to, Mu Duo was quite conflicted. AI. The two of them were not on the same level, and he felt rather powerless. The depressed Mu Duo suddenly thought of Lung Ruoxu and turned his pleading gaze to her. It was a pity that Lung Ruoxu was currently in a state of sorrow. Even if she had seen the other parties cry for help, it was hard to say if she would care. But now, she was obviously not in the mood for that. AI. It's good to have a backer. Lung Ruoxu sighed. Her resentful eyes would drift from time to Uncle Long and the rest. At this moment, she missed the evildoer. If the evildoer was here, he wouldn't be like Uncle Long and Godfather who didn't give her face. Faced with Lung Ruoxu's silent accusation, Uncle Long and the others felt as if there was a dagger on their backs. Ugh, do you have to do this? I just didn't play along with you. He was actually looking at them with hidden bitterness, making them feel as if they had done something evil. Dongfang Yu, who was the first to lose his patience, felt that it was time for him to do something. Therefore, he directly rushed to the front of Vice Alliance Master Hong, grabbed him by the collar, and roared, "You bastard! You dare to bully our shui! You little brat! Are you tired of living?" The most important thing was that he had caused them to be looked at so resentfully. This was an unforgivable crime. Then, Dongfang Yu's fists rained down on Vice Alliance Master Hong. Everyone was stunned by Dongfang Yu's sudden madness. Bing Pa said helplessly, "Dongfang Yu, you've stolen my limelight. He'll return it to you later." Dongfang Yu forced a smile before turning to Lung Ruoxue in a fawning manner. "Shui, I've avenged you. Are you feeling better now?" "I'm feeling better," Lung Ruoxue said helplessly. It seemed like her resentment had successfully forced the normal Dongfang Yu to become abnormal. "That's good." Dongfang Yu was relieved. Then he stuffed the dumbfounded Vice Alliance Master Hong into Ice Soul's hands and said, "I'll return it to you. You can deal with it slowly." Chapter 28:14. What should they do? 3. Since that's the case, I won't be polite, Ice Spirit said with a smile. "You're welcome. Among these people, whoever you like, just take it. We have no objections." Dongfang Yu pointed at Mu Duo and the rest maliciously and said to Ice Soul, as if there was no one else around. Listening to the two of them seemingly distributing who they belonged to, Mu Duo and the others were extremely depressed. "That, you guys may not have any objections, but they do." He had quite a lot of opinions. "Miss Lung, we are here to solve the problem." After some thought, Mu Duo spoke to Lung Ruoxue. "Are you sure?" Lung Ruoxue blinked her beautiful eyes, clearly not believing his words. Mu Duo was depressed. He thought in his heart, what's there to be uncertain about? "I thought you came in a group to eat ice chi." Lung Ruoxue laughed evilly. It was obvious that she had touched a sore spot. Her words had successfully angered Ice Soul, the old Qilin who had been promoted to a father of 24 filial piety. Feeling the incomparably heavy pressure beside him, Mu Duo really wanted to cry. "Miss Lung, can you not be like this?" They were here to solve the problem, not to eat the Kirin. One had to know that even if he was given 100 guts, he would not dare to eat a Qilin. Unfortunately, Lung Ruoxue did not want to give him a chance to explain. She only said to Ice Soul, "Senior, you can take away those who want to eat ice chi. Leave the rest to me." "All right," Ice Spirit replied happily. The two of them had finished splitting the loot. As for the people of the Dark Family Alliance, they didn't know what to think. In the end, no one knew how Ice Spirit picked, but he actually picked all the people from the Hong family. The rest of the people stared at Lung Ruoxue and the others, but at the same time, they were rejoicing in their hearts. It was a good thing he didn't go crazy with Vice Alliance Master Hong. Otherwise, they would have been one of the people who had been taken away. That was close. That was really close. Although only Mu Duo and Deputy Alliance Master Yin knew about Bing Jie and his son's identity, it didn't affect their fear of Bing Pa. On the contrary, they weren't that afraid of Lung Ruoxue. This was also largely due to Lung Ruoxue not displaying her true strength, and the fact that Lung Ruoxue didn't seem to mind at all. The people who were left behind heaved a sigh of relief and made an inviting gesture with a smile. Following that, the remaining members of the Dark Clan Alliance were all led to the living room. As soon as they sat down, they heard a shrill scream. Immediately, the faces of the Dark Association's members turned pale, and their timid bodies began to tremble. This voice belonged to Vice Alliance Master Hong. Why was he screaming so miserably? They didn't even dare to imagine what kind of treatment Vice Alliance Master Hong had received, and no one dared to stand up for him. Lung Ruoxue observed the sudden change in the expressions of the people from the Dark Alliance. She smiled evilly and comforted them. "Everyone, don't be nervous. ITLL be fine. As long as you don't have any ideas about Bing Yao, I will ensure your safety. Of course, the premise is that you don't provoke me. Otherwise, no one can protect you. In addition, the sound insulation here is not very good. So please be understanding and bear with it. Endure? Can you endure it? They couldn't pretend not to hear the screams, even if they wanted to. Furthermore, they understood Lung Ruoxu's words. She was warning them to behave themselves and not to resist. In reality, even if Lung Ruoxu didn't say so, the members of the Dark Association who had witnessed Ice Spirit's strength didn't have the slightest intention of going against her. Right now, they only wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Sob, this place was too scary. They wanted to go home. Originally, they had come here personally for Jiao Yu and Hong Village, but now that Vice Alliance Master Hong had fallen into their trap again due to a moment of impulse, it was obvious that they had no intention of returning her to them. More importantly, they didn't dare to ask Lung Ruoxu for her. Otherwise, if they angered her, they might not be able to leave Demon City alive. With this thought in mind, an elder stood up immediately. He didn't care about the presence of Mu Duo and Deputy Alliance Master Yin, and said directly, Miss Lung, we're here for Jiyue and Hong Village, but now that Vice Alliance Master Hong is gone, I don't think we need to stand up for them anymore. Let the Hong family solve their own problems. Our alliance won't participate in this. So may we leave now? He didn't want to stay here any longer. Leave? Wasn't the purpose of your alliance to help each other? Now that Vice Alliance leader Hong's family is in trouble, you want to stay out of it? Is that okay? Hearing this, Lung Ruoxu asked with a faint smile. Although the aim of our Dark Family Alliance is for the families to help each other, there's a premise. We have to be reasonable. It's obvious that Vice Alliance leader Hong and the others are at fault in this matter, so we can't help them. After thinking for a moment, the elder said in a righteous manner. His words resonated with all the elders present. Seeing the elders of the Dark Clan Alliance nodding their heads, Lung Ruoxu smiled and asked, If I'm not mistaken, the meaning of your Dark Family Alliance is that there's someone to blame, and there's someone to blame for the death. Whoever offends us, we'll look for them, right? That's right. The elder nodded with all his might. Thanks, I understand. Lung Ruoxu understood. She then looked at Uncle Long and the rest and asked, Uncle Long, Godfather, what do you think? You wish. If the Dark Family Alliance wants to stay out of this, they'll have to see if we agree. After all, Princess Jiyue and the others represent the Dark Family Alliance. If it wasn't for your Dark Family Alliance's name, we wouldn't have let them in. Hearing Lung Ruoxu's question, Master Ning was enraged. Then he glanced at Mu Duo and added, By the way, he'll tell you guys something. Back then, Princess Jiyue said that after she took over Demon City, she wanted me and Uncle Long to guard the gate for her. Mu Duo and the others were silent. No one knew Uncle Long, but who didn't know Master Ning? You actually want the head of the Ning family, the leader of the 8 divine regions, to guard your door? Is your door guard that precious? These words, no one present dared to even think about it, but Jiao Yu had actually said it. Damn it, who gave you the guts? For a moment, the silent Dark Family Alliance members were all furious. In fact, they didn't know the details of Master Ning's words. Now that they heard it with their own ears, they were shocked. This, Mu Duo stammered for a long time and still couldn't say a complete sentence. The cold sweat in his heart was even more dripping down. It seemed that this matter was not going to be resolved peacefully. Don't say that. Your Jiyue also said that Senior Ice Soul and the others should serve her well. If they serve her well, she will be rewarded. Uncle Long also laughed evilly. Jiyue wasn't from their family, okay? Mu Duo, who couldn't say anything, felt wronged and the expression on his face dimmed a little. Today, he was afraid that he would be in deep trouble. Mu Duo, who was particularly uneasy, no longer wanted to defend himself. He felt that no matter what he said, he would not be able to appease the other party's anger. In that case, why should he make a meaningless struggle? Mu Duo, who had given up on resisting, immediately became listless. He lowered his head in dejection and didn't say a word. The people of the Dark Alliance were at a loss when they saw this. What should they do? The members of the Dark Alliance, led by Mu Duo, were all at a loss. At this time, painful howls continued to enter their ears, scaring them even more. Lung Ruoxua knew that it was not a good idea to continue like this. Lung Ruoxua couldn't stand people looking like they were on the verge of death. She didn't feel any sense of accomplishment when dealing with such an opponent. Thus, in her frustration, Lung Ruoxua waved her hand and said to Mu Duo and the rest in disdain, as if she was chasing away flies, "All of you can leave. I'll send someone to pay for our emotional damage later." Hearing the heavenly amnesty, the people from the Dark Family Alliance were so excited that they did not even bother to ask Lung Ruoxua about the mental damage compensation. They ran out of the room without any hesitation until they returned to the Dark Family Alliance. Mu Duo and the others still felt that everything was particularly unreal. Could it be that they had a dream before? When they saw the list of compensation that Lung Ruoxua had sent their beastie to deliver to them, Mu Duo and the rest suddenly realized that they were not dreaming. All of this was real. The Dark Family Alliance was also going to pay a huge price for the Hong family. Looking at the mental damage compensation on the list, Mu Duo and Deputy Alliance Master Yin were extremely sad. Mu Duo felt even more remorseful. Originally, he had agreed with Deputy Alliance Master Hong's suggestion to let Juyue and Hong Xiun accompany Suihua to Demon City. He had also intended to use Lung Ruoxua to get rid of the Hong family. But now he felt that he had shot himself in the foot by acting on his own initiative, because he had also paid the price for it. This price was enough to make his heart ache. "Alliance Master, what should we do now?" Vice Alliance Leader Yin asked, slightly flustered. "What else can we do?" "Compensate." Mu Duo helplessly sighed. "But some of the elders in the Alliance won't agree." Deputy Alliance Master Yin reminded. "Is this up to them?" Mu Duo raised his eyebrows and said, "We can't let them do as they please." Vice Alliance Leader Yin said dejectedly. After that, the two of them passed down their opinions, and, as expected, it caused a commotion among the elders. Immediately, an elder went to find Mu Duo and Deputy Alliance Master Yin, clearly expressing that their families wouldn't compensate a single cent for the Hong family's matter. They would go to whoever caused this trouble and wouldn't implicate the innocent. Chapter 28:15. I have a father one. The clear attitude of some of the elders made Mu Duo quite worried. In fact, he also wanted to say this to the Hong family, but he was the alliance leader. If these words were to be spread, the Hong family would definitely make up stories about him. In addition, it was also possible that some families that were close to the Hong family would feel that he was not being honest as the alliance master. One must know that when he told Lung Ruoxua that what Vice Alliance Master Hong did was his own doing and had nothing to do with the Dark Family Alliance, it had already made some elders unhappy. Therefore, he must not say this again. But if he didn't say it, he wouldn't be able to explain it to the family that was strongly against the Alliance paying for Vice Alliance Master Hong's actions. Where's this good? Mu Duo was extremely conflicted in his heart. As Mu Duo's loyal subordinate, although Deputy Alliance Master Yin was well aware of Mu Duo's dilemma, he didn't know how to help the Alliance Master get out of her current predicament. At this moment, the two biggest leaders of the Dark Family Alliance became silent. The two of them locked themselves in the room, deep in thought. Suddenly, there was the sound of hurried footsteps outside the door, and then someone shouted, "Alliance Master! Vice Alliance Master! Bad news!" "What's wrong?" Upon hearing this, the two of them immediately opened the door and looked at the guard who was panting heavily at the door. "The elders are fighting with the Hong family." Before he could stand still, the guard, who was sweating profusely, hurriedly said, "They started fighting?" The two of them looked at each other and then calmed down. "It's good to fight." The two of them were worried about how to explain this to the Hong family. Now that there was an elder fighting with the Hong family, it saved them the trouble of talking. More importantly, the two of them were not in a hurry to go out and settle the dispute. Instead, they pulled the guard over and asked about his well-being, which scared the guard so much that he was at a loss. In the end, the two of them consoled the guard and told him to go back to his room to rest. Then, with a bang, they closed the door in front of the guard. The guard looked at this scene in a daze for a long time before he turned around and left. In the room, Deputy Alliance Master Yin looked at Mu Duo, who was much calmer than him, and the admiration in his heart was like a surging river, endless. He even felt that she was worthy of being the Alliance Master. He was even calmer in such a situation. Alliance Master, when are we going out to settle the Hong family and the elders' matter? Deputy Alliance Master Yin was not as calm as Mu Duo, so he asked curiously, "What's the hurry? Let them fight to their heart's content first." Mu Duo laughed evilly. Then what if someone is too heavy-handed and can't clean up after the death? Vice Alliance Leader Yin said worriedly, "Thanks, we can't rule out that possibility, but even so, we have to stay calm." Mu Duo touched his chin and said after thinking for a while, Vice Alliance Leader Yin was depressed. How could he remain calm when he knew that this was a possibility? However, the truth was that this Alliance Master Mu Duo was indeed unnaturally calm. When the two of them felt that it was about time and went out to settle the conflict, Deputy Alliance Master Yin was surprised to find that the matter was not as serious as he had thought. Or it could be said that the Hong family's combat power was too weak, and they were subdued by the family of the elders in a few moves. Faced with the possibility of a one-sided battle, Deputy Alliance Leader Yin didn't know what to do. It was definitely impossible to side with the Hong family, but it didn't seem right to side with the elders either. After some thought, he decided to wait and see. In any case, he thought that he was not the Alliance Master and did not need to rush to stand out. However, it was not so easy for Mu Duo to be a bystander. However, it was a good thing that Mu Duo didn't intend to back down. Therefore, after seeing the scene in front of him, he immediately pulled a long face and angrily said, "Can someone explain to me what's going on? Alliance Master, it's all because of them. They insisted that our Hong family bear Lung Ruoxu's psychological damage alone. They're really bullying us." A very embarrassed elder of the Hong family saw Mu Duo ask like this and immediately pointed to the other elders who were also bruised and swollen and complained, "This should be your Hong family's compensation. This matter was caused by your Hong family. Why should we take the blame for you?" Faced with the Hong family's elder's accusation, the accused party retorted, unwilling to be outdone. "How can this be considered as taking the blame? Aren't we an alliance? When one family is in trouble, shouldn't the 8 sides send help?" A certain elder of the Hong family said matter-of-factly, "Who said it should be? When we formed the alliance, we agreed that we would do things our own way and help each other if there was a problem. But the premise of this problem is that we can't take the initiative to cause trouble. Otherwise, if someone were to rely on the Dark Family Alliance to make powerful enemies everywhere, wouldn't all of us be implicated?" Elder Fong explained. Most of the elders present nodded in agreement. However, the elder of the Hong family was clearly not happy when he heard this. However, he didn't dare to offend these fiendish elders. After all, the Hong family had offended Lung Ruoxue, and several members of the Hong family had fallen into her hands. He was still waiting for the alliance to come out and save them. Therefore, in the face of these accusations, he didn't dare to be too harsh with his words except to argue a little. Then, he turned his head and looked at Mu Duo. Tears quickly welled up in his eyes, and he said in a choked voice, "Alliance Master, you have to find a way to save Vice Alliance Master Hong." "How?" Mu Duo asked indifferently. The elder of the Hong family was at a loss for words. He didn't expect Mu Duo to ask this question at all. He naively thought that after hearing his question, Mu Duo should have patted his chest and promised that he would definitely bring the person back safely. But now, how is he supposed to answer this question? "Yup, First Elder Hong, how do we save him?" An elder asked, gloating. The first elder of the Hong family was extremely embarrassed. After thinking for a while, he said, "This matter shall be decided by the Alliance Master." "I decide? Are you sure?" Mu Duo asked with a smile. "Of course, you're the leader of the Dark Family Alliance. It's best for you to make the decision." The first elder of the Hong family hurriedly said, "If that's the case, I might as well tell you that I'm afraid we can't save Vice Alliance Master Hong. The young master of your Hong family can succeed to the throne." Mu Duo suggested with a sincere expression. However, His words made the first elder of the Hong family furious. At this moment, he couldn't care less about his status as the leader of the Mudwa Alliance. He roared, "Muduo, how can you say that? I know that you don't like our family head, but no matter how much you don't like him, we're still in the alliance. If you didn't say you would save him, how could you curse him? Why, you've really gone too far. I'll definitely report this to the ancestor. I believe that the ancestor will definitely take care of the patriarch." As you wish. When Muduo heard that the other party was going to complain to his ancestor, he didn't stop him at all. It just so happened that he also had something to say to his ancestor. Seeing Muduo's uncaring expression, the head elder of the Hong family left in anger. Chapter 28:16. I have a father, too. After he left, Deputy Alliance Leader Yin and a portion of the elders looked at Muduo worriedly. If the Yin clan's old ancestor came out of seclusion, this matter would probably become even more lively. Everyone knew that the old man from the Yin family was the most protective and unreasonable. The Alliance Master was probably not his match. Why are you guys looking at me? Is the Yin clan the only clan with an ancestor? Muduo was rendered speechless by the worry on their faces, so he could only joke with a smile. That's right. Deputy Alliance Leader Yin and the elders were enlightened. They also had an ancestor at home. Why was he so frightened by the Hong family's first elder's words? However, it was also fortunate that Muduo had reminded them. Otherwise, they really wouldn't have thought of disturbing their own ancestor. But now, if the Hong family's ancestor came out of seclusion, the other ancestors would definitely have to inform them. Otherwise, they would be too passive. With this thought in mind, the people led by Muduo all moved. At this moment, Lung Ruoxue and the rest were still unaware that the Dark Family Alliance was about to make a big move because of the Hong family's capture. Half a month later, Lung Ruoxue and the others received another report from the Silver Rats that an unknown faction was heading towards Demon City in an aggressive manner. This time, the Silver Rats didn't ask to be sniped. Instead, they had a depressed and resentful expression on their faces. Out of curiosity, Lung Ruoxue could not help but ask for the reason. When she learned that the Silver Rats did not ask to be sniped because the person who came this time was a little strong, she smiled. Why are these little things so cute? After learning that this was the reason, Lung Ruoxue consoled the Silver Rats who had glass hearts. Then, she brought Uncle Long and the others to wait for the unknown faction to arrive. Even though it was said to be an unknown faction, Lung Ruoxue knew that it must be the people from the Dark Clan Alliance. This time, the other party probably came with ill intentions. It had to be said that Lung Ruoxue was right. This time, the Dark Family Alliance had really come with ill intentions. In order to show off their strength, they had wanted to give Lung Ruoxue a taste of their power outside of Demon City's defensive forest. The one who took the lead to show off his horse's might was the Hong family's greatest ancestor. He led the Hong family members and lined up at the entrance of the forest. Then, with his order, countless divine powers were released from the hands of the Hong family members. Seeing this scene, the Yin family's ancestor, who was watching from the side, nudged the Mu family's ancestor beside him with a worried look. "Old Man Mu, will this be okay? It'd be a wonder if he's fine." The ancestor of the Mu family said calmly. "Should we stop them?" The Yin clan's ancestor asked with uncertainty. To be honest, he didn't want to stop them. Who asked their Yin family and the Hong family to be enemies? He couldn't wait to see Old Man Hong suffer. "Can you stop it?" The ancestor of the Mu family said helplessly. After he came out of seclusion, he heard Muduo talk about what had happened recently. At that time, he only had one feeling, and that was that the Hong family was courting death. And this time, no one would be able to help the Hong family. In addition, he had also heard Muduo talk about Lung Ruoxue. Compared to watching the Hong family make a fool of themselves, he was obviously more interested in Lung Ruoxue. All right, let's just watch the fun. After hearing the Mu clan's ancestor say this, the Yin clan's ancestor didn't care anymore and found a place to sit down. After an unknown amount of time, the Hong family's attack did not seem to have any effect at all. The forest was still undamaged, and not even a single leaf fell from the trees. Such a scene made the old ancestor of the Hong family a little anxious. Musheng, Yin-ting, hurry up and help. The old ancestor of the Hong family roared at the two of them, but the two of them only returned him a faint smile. It was obvious that neither of them had any intention of helping the other. Thanks, you guys, come quickly. Seeing that the two of them were not moving, the old ancestor of the Hong family continued to roar. Flood, don't waste your energy. There's clearly a formation here. No matter how much shun power you use, it will be of no use. Yin-ting helplessly reminded. Yes, the formations here are very advanced. I'm afraid, even if we use all of our shun power, we will not be able to do anything. Musheng said. Damn it, why didn't you guys say so earlier? The old ancestor of the Hong family roared. TSK, did you even give us a chance to speak? Yin-ting rolled his eyes at the old ancestor of the Hong family. All right, he had to admit that he was a little anxious. What do we do now? The old ancestor of the Hong family thought that he was able to adapt to circumstances. Therefore, after shouting at the other party, he could also put down his face and ask for the other party's opinion. Cold mix, Mu Duo replied. No, we have to go in quickly. If we delay any longer, the children will suffer more. The old ancestor of the Hong family said anxiously. In the face of the Hong family's ancestors' eagerness, neither Musheng nor Yin-ting had the heart to tell him that it had been so long. Those children in his family had probably suffered all the hardships they should have. Therefore, it shouldn't be too much of a delay. Mu Duo, haven't you been here before? Please lead the way. With a light sigh, Musheng turned around and instructed Mu Duo. Everyone had the heart to love their son. Although he didn't really like the old man from the Hong family, he couldn't deny the love he had for his own child, and this made him feel the same. Mu Duo nodded and led the way into the protection forest outside Demon City. At the same time, Lung Ruoxue and the rest could see the other party's every move through the screen in the courtyard. They're here, Master Ning said with an evil smile. I haven't seen these old friends for a long time. Uncle Long sighed. Uncle Long, do you know them? Lung Ruoxue asked in surprise. It seemed like some of the people who had come this time were old Gus acquaintances. I know a few, Uncle Long said with a smile. Then I'll have them come in quickly, Lung Ruoxue asked with anticipation. Yes, Uncle Long nodded. He knew that without Shui Air's help, those people would have been lost in the forest. Not long after, Mu Duo and the others, who were already in a sorry state, were led by the Silver Rats to the Lung family's main residence. When he saw Lung Ruoxue, Mu Duo immediately burst into tears. This forest was too much of a bully. He had clearly walked this path before, but this time he was still lost. He felt so embarrassed. When Lung Ruoxue saw Mu Duo, she smiled and asked, Alliance Master Mu, have you brought the emotional damages? Never in his dreams would Mu Duo have thought that this would be the first thing Lung Ruoxue would say when she saw him. This made him at a loss. Normally speaking, shouldn't they exchange pleasantries first and be polite? Who would directly ask about money? You didn't bring it? Seeing that the other party was in a daze, Lung Ruoxue blinked her eyes and made a guess. What are you doing here if you didn't bring the money? She asked in dissatisfaction. Such obvious disgust. Could it be that they couldn't come to Demon City without money? Chapter 28:17. I have a father 3. Although Mu Duo really wanted to ask Lung Ruoxue this question, when he saw how she acted as if it was a matter of course, he felt that it was better for him not to find that uneasiness. Because even if he asked, it would only make him look bad. Mu Duo instantly fell silent. The old ancestor of the Hong family, who was already holding back his anger, was especially dissatisfied when he heard Lung Ruoxue's words. Little girl, Demon City has captured our people. So why are you asking us for compensation for emotional damage? I'm telling you, we won't pay you any compensation for emotional damage. On the contrary, you have to hand over the Hong family members you've captured. Otherwise, I won't let you off today. And who are you? Lung Ruoxue pretended to be confused when she saw the old man who suddenly spoke. Little girl, He's called Hong Shui, the ancestor of the Hong family. When Yin Ting heard Lung Ruoxu's words, he rushed to reply. Get lost. You're the flood. I'm Hong Sui. The old ancestor of the Hong clan shouted at Yin Ting. Immediately, Yin Ting shrunk his neck and took a step back without saying anything. I don't care if you're the flood or Hong Sui. I just want to know, how are you going to deal with us? Lung Ruoxu laughed. Hong Sui was stunned. Why is it not over? He had never thought about it. In reality, he was only trying to scare Lung Ruoxu. He had thought that a little girl would be scared and obediently hand over the Hong family. Who knew that it was different from what he had imagined? Not only was she not afraid, she even asked him what he wanted to do. Hong Sui, who had never thought of how to answer, frowned. At this moment, he heard Lung Ruoxu continue. I only want money, not my life. Of course, if you don't want to end things with us, we'll keep you company until the end. This was the rhythm of a fight. Mu Sheng and the others thought at the same time. After that, they heard Lung Ruoxu's words as they wished. You guys also want to have a fight with me? It wasn't he. Feeling Lung Ruoxu's open attitude, everyone took a few steps back in worry. They want to put some distance between them and Hong Sui so that this little girl wouldn't misunderstand. However, they retreated a little too late. Lung Ruoxu stood in the middle and said in a magnanimous tone, Come on. Whoever goes first, they'll take them on. Could it not be like this? Mu Sheng and the rest thought to themselves. In reality, other than the aggressive Hong family members, no one else had come to fight Lung Ruoxu. They were more of onlookers, but now, Lung Ruoxu had clearly included them in her plans. This was really unpleasant. At this moment, Lung Ruoxu saw that no one had any reaction, so she could only call out the names personally. You go first. Beckoning with her finger, Lung Ruoxu stared at an old man. As far as she knew, this old man was the first elder of the Hong family, so she had used him as an example. When the first elder of the Hong family heard Lung Ruoxu's words, he said indignantly, What an ignorant little girl. Today, they'll let you know how powerful I am. As soon as he finished speaking, the first elder of the Hong family turned into a shooting star and flew out in an unknown direction before he could even get into a fighting stance. It was Lung Ruoxu's kick. Seeing this, the members of the Dark Clan Alliance were terrified. This was truly too terrifying. One should know that the first elder of the Hong family was not weak. At least on the surface, he was stronger than Lung Ruoxu. Even so, he was still sent flying by a kick from Lung Ruoxu, and it was before anyone could react. After he suddenly came to his senses, Hong Sui was so angry that he was about to explode. What a bold little girl. In front of him, he actually dared to attack the Hong family. He was really tired of living. In that instant, Hong Sui attacked Lung Ruoxu without thinking. On the other hand, Lung Ruoxu dodged it unhurriedly. She smiled provocatively and said, You're not done with me? Come on, little Shue, can you let me have this person? At this moment, Bing Yao's voice rang in Lung Ruoxu's ears. Following that, a tiny icy blue figure landed in Lung Ruoxu's arms. At this moment, there was an even more petite, snow-white cat on top of the ice phoenix's head. Seeing Bing Yi's appearance, Mu Duo's mouth twitched uncomfortably. Then, he quietly sent a message to remind his ancestor. After hearing this, Mu Sheng couldn't wait to look at Bing Yao. Little Bing Bing, can you beat him? At this moment, Lung Ruoxu looked at Bing Yao and asked worriedly, So, what if I can't win? I have a father. Bing Yao said proudly. When Lung Ruoxu heard Bing Yao announce this good news so proudly, her forehead was filled with black lines. This was an era of competing for a father. Indeed, no one could afford to offend Bing Yao, who had a strong backing. Lung Ruoxu looked at Hong Sui sympathetically, then let go of the ice armor and quietly withdrew from the battle. Thanks when Hong Sui saw that Lung Ruoxu had left just like that, the anger in his heart instantly rose by a few more degrees. He raised his voice and shouted at Lung Ruoxu, Damned girl, you're scared, so you let out little reserve life? Lung Ruoxu was speechless, and her sympathy for Hong Sui increased. As for Hong Sui, he was confused by Lung Ruoxu's gaze. More importantly, the other party's gaze made him extremely uncomfortable. However, Lung Ruoxu didn't want to explain too much. Anyway, Hong Sui would realize how serious of a mistake he had made in a while. But now, Hong Sui obviously didn't realize it. Seeing that Lung Ruoxu was ignoring him, Hong Sui's gaze could only turn back to Bing Yao as he roared fiercely. Little Qinsheng, since your master let you out, they'll let you know my power. You are the little save life. Your whole family is. Also, little Xue is not my master. Bing Yao indifferently replied. Detestable. Hearing that the little dog in front of him actually dared to scold him, Hong Sui's anger rose again. Then, he raised his hand and was ready to teach Bing Yao a lesson. Who knew that Bing Yao would remain calm and unflustered and repeat the same process as before, shouting in a clear and melodious voice, Father, someone is going to kill your son again. Help me. Come out now, or you won't be able to see your cute son again. This familiar scene made Mu Duo and the other members of the Dark Alliance who had seen it before feel speechless. More importantly, they knew what was going to happen next, so they couldn't bear to look at this scene. As expected, the ice spirit fell from the sky, as Bing Yao said. Ice Soul held the baby egg in his arms, squinted his blue eyes, and questioned, You're the one who wanted to kill my son? Upon hearing this, Hong Sui was stunned. He didn't expect the other party's father to come out as soon as he was called. Moreover, this father's strength seemed to be above his. Hong Sui was a little conflicted. What should he do now? Are you deaf or mute? Ice Spirit asked again, impatiently, when the man did not answer. He could accompany his son to play the game of competing for a father, but he had no interest in being silly with others. Father, don't worry. He's not deaf or mute. Bing Yao laughed evilly as he reported. Hearing this, Hong Sui became even more depressed. If he still couldn't tell that this little dog was playing with him, he would have lived all these years in vain. So, you're looking down on me? Ice Spirit continued to cooperate with Ice Phoenix. Hong Sui was completely speechless. He hadn't even said anything yet, all right? Father, he must be looking down on you. Furthermore, from what I know, he's here to avenge the members of the Hong family who were captured. He's not done with us. Bing Yao continued to provoke. The Hong family? Revenge? Are you still not done? Ice Spirit asked indifferently. Then, he suddenly raised his chi and said, Come on, I'm not done with you. Father, I suggest that we strike first. Otherwise, if he finds out that the Hong family was captured by you, we will be in deep trouble. So, we have to act quickly before he finds out. Bing Yao laughed evilly. After hearing this, whether it was Lung Ruoxu's side or the Dark Family Alliance's side, they were all speechless and didn't know what to say. Then, everyone's sympathetic gazes focused on Hong Sui. He was clearly teasing the silly boy. When Hong Sui heard Bing Yao's words, he immediately narrowed his eyes in anger and questioned, The Hong family was captured by you and your father. Not bad. Ice Spirit nodded. Bing Yao, on the other hand, exclaimed in surprise, Father, what should we do now that he has discovered us? Glancing at Bing Yao, Lung Ruoxu wiped the cold sweat from her forehead and thought to herself, Bing Yao, I overdid it. However, Bing Yao clearly didn't care if the act had gone too far. Instead, she displayed a look of panic, which made Lung Ruoxu even more speechless. However, Bing Yi's filial father felt that his child was cute no matter how he looked at him. Touching the Ice Phoenix's fur, Ice Soul consoled. Don't be afraid. Father is here. All right, Father is here. For people who didn't know how to pamper their children, there was no reason at all. At this moment, Hong Sui, who saw that he was being ignored, couldn't help but jump out to make his presence known. He shouted, You're so bold. You actually dare to capture our Hong family. Hurry up and hand over the Hong family, and I can spare your lives. He's dead. Glancing at Hong Sui indifferently, Ice Soul coolly spat out 2 words. Dead? What's dead? Hong Sui asked in a daze, not quite understanding. So stupid. Of course my father is saying that the person who was caught in your Hong family is already dead. Bing Yao explained on behalf of her father, who was a man of few words. The Hong family is dead. Upon hearing this, Hong Sui's anger could no longer be suppressed. However, he did not completely lose his mind in his anger. Then, he turned to Mu Sheng and the others and shouted, "Demon City has killed the people of the Dark Alliance, and we will not rest until they are dead. Everyone attack. Exterminate them." Chapter 28:18. Who's bullying who won? Hong Sui's words were rather imposing, but the people of the Dark Clan Alliance did not dare to act rashly upon hearing them. One should know that the aura and pressure that Ice Spirit gave them was not something that Hong Sui could stir up. More importantly, Mu Sheng, the head of the Dark Clan Alliance, did not make a move, so these small fries naturally did not dare to act on their own. Seeing that no one responded to his words, Hong Sui's anger instantly began to rise again. Then, he angrily shouted, "My words don't work anymore? You guys hurry up and destroy Demon City to avenge our Dark Family Alliance." But who knew that after he shouted, no one dared to step forward. Everyone thought in unison that the hatred of the Hong family's ancestor was not just big. Was Demon City that easy to destroy? The people present who were rather familiar with Demon City's strength looked at Hong Sui with extremely complicated feelings. They could not help but think to themselves, although the ancestor of the Hong family was also a famous expert many years ago, the many years of closed-door cultivation has clearly turned him silly. As a result, he is completely unable to understand the current situation in the divine realm. Otherwise, he would not have said such words. As the saying goes, the waves behind push the waves before. The current God world was no longer the God world that he was active in. Lung Ruoxue, the turbulent wave behind, had completely smacked Hong Sui, the wave in front, to death on the beach. You want to destroy them? In your dreams. None of the people present were fools, so they naturally wouldn't go crazy with Hong Sui. More importantly, this had nothing to do with their respective families, so no one would be so loyal as to offend Demon City for the Hong family, who was courting death. Of course, everyone was well aware that Hong Sui was most likely deceived by his own descendants. Otherwise, he would not be so impulsive as to want to destroy Demon City. Destroy. If you can destroy it, do it. But please don't implicate them. A few families who were not on good terms with the Hong family gloated in their hearts. They could not wait for Hong Sui to clash with Lung Ruoxue and the rest. In this way, he could get rid of this thorn in his side through the hands of others. From this, it could be seen that even though the Hong family was a part of the Dark Family Alliance, they were not well-liked. Musheng, Yin Ting, are you just going to watch my Hong family get bullied? Seeing that the crowd still did not move, Hong Sui angrily shouted at Mu Sheng and Yin Ting. Mu Sheng was helpless. As the founder of the Dark Family Alliance, he couldn't just sit by and watch, but was it really the Hong family that was being bullied? I don't think so. As for Yin Ting, he simply turned his head and ignored Hong Sui's words. The two of them didn't see eye to eye with each other, so it was only natural for him to hit them when they were down. And he didn't have any sense of belonging to the Hong family, and even had the idea of helping an outsider. Hong Sui also knew that he could not count on Yin Ting among the two, but Mu Sheng could not ignore him. Therefore, he placed his main target on Mu Sheng and took the initiative to play the emotional card. Musheng, we've been working together for so many years, and you've watched those children grow up. Do you really have the heart to see them being bullied by outsiders? If word of this gets out, how will our Dark Family Alliance stand in the divine realm? What a huge hat! Was this considered a summary? Mu Sheng didn't speak, only looking at Hong Sui quietly. Upon seeing this, Hong Sui became anxious. Just as he was about to say something, he suddenly heard a mocking voice. Hong family's kid, we have to find out who's the one who's bullying who. Thanks, Uncle Long strode out of the cubicle behind the living room. Originally, he didn't intend to show himself now. He wanted to wait for the dust to settle and Senior Eye's soul to vent his hatred before coming out. Who knew that Hong Sui's words were really too much for him to bear? Look at how he said it, as if his own family's younger generation was the victim. In fact, if there was a victim, it should be their side, right? As for the Hong family, it could only be said that they were not strong enough and had kicked an iron plate, which was why they were unlucky. When Hong Sui heard this familiar voice, he looked in the direction of the voice. When he saw Uncle Long, his eyes widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. What about me? Are you pretending not to know me? Uncle Long laughed. What are you doing here? Hong Sui could not help but ask. This is my home. Of course I have to be here, Uncle Long said indifferently. Then he used his eyes to greet Mu Sheng and the other people he was familiar with. After that, he focused on dealing with Hong Sui. Hong Sui did not expect to hear Uncle Long say that. His eyes instantly widened, and he asked with a face of disbelief, "Shouldn't you be in the Endless Sea?" It was originally, but now I've settled down in Demon City. Haven't you heard that the Endless Sea has merged with Demon City and is now under Demon City's jurisdiction? Uncle Long asked in disbelief. This news was not considered a secret in the immortal realm. Any clan should know about it, but this old fellow actually did not hear of it. It could be seen how outdated this information channel was. Hong Sui was undoubtedly shocked by Uncle Long's words. This was no longer just a matter of the lack of information channels. He suddenly thought that with Uncle Long, who was more protective of his own and more powerful than him, he could forget about successfully avenging his revenge today. From Hong Sui's point of view, Uncle Long and the unknown man before him were his greatest opponents on the side of Demon City. Especially in this situation where he could not support it alone, it would be very difficult for him to avenge his junior. Hong Sui was instantly worried. He turned his head and looked at Mu Sheng and Yin Ting with hidden bitterness. If these two people had helped, he would still have some confidence in his heart. But now, with the appearance of Uncle Long, he knew that the idea of getting the help of those two people would probably be fruitless. Just for Uncle Dragon's sake, Mu Sheng would not attack Demon City. Hong Sui was very clear about this, and this fact made him extremely resentful. Fuck, they were clearly on the same side, but now he could only swallow all his hatred into his stomach. This feeling of having no way to take revenge was quite uncomfortable. Uncle Dragon, it seems you plan on protecting Demon City's people. Unwilling to give up, Hong Sui still wanted to personally confirm it with Uncle Long. However, Uncle Long only smiled faintly and said, "The people of Demon City don't need my protection." What? Hong Sui was shocked. He didn't hear wrongly, right? What did this old whale mean? What? You don't understand. Hong Sui, you didn't even figure anything out, and you dare to come and cause trouble. I have to say, your IQ is really worrying. Uncle Long sighed and looked at Hong Sui helplessly. Hong Sui's face turned red from Uncle Long's exasperated tone. Then he shouted at the top of his voice, "Who said I didn't figure it out? Your Demon City captured our Hong family, yet you're still demanding for all sorts of compensation. Now, this father and son have killed a junior of our Hong family. How can I not take revenge for this deep hatred?" Chapter 28:19. Who's bullying who to? I can. At this moment, Ice Spirit, who had been invisible for a while, spoke calmly. You're tactful. Upon hearing Ice Spirit's words, Hong Sui gave her a satisfied look and said, "So, I'm going to kill you and your father to avenge my descendants. Come on, they'll be waiting." Ice Spirit replied with a smile. "Father, I'm so scared, will we be okay?" Suddenly, Bing Yao interrupted. "With father here, he will definitely be the one to die." Bing touched the fur on Bing Yao's head to comfort his son. When Hong Sui heard this, his anger rose up again. Immediately after, Hong Sui, who had been provoked to the point of losing his mind, rushed toward the father and son without thinking. The divine power in his hands quickly gathered, and in a split second, a green ball of divine power was thrown out of Hong Sui's hands and flew directly toward the Ice Soul father and son. Uncle Long broke out in cold sweat at the sight. You won't die if you don't seek death. This time, Hong Sui was definitely beyond saving. On the other hand, Mu Sheng was unable to stop him in time and could only watch helplessly as Hong Sui faced the adult Qilin. Of course, at this moment, he still wasn't too sure of the ice spirit's identity. Otherwise, even if he didn't like Hong Sui, he would still try his best to stop him from being foolish. Unfortunately, it was too late. After Hong Sui Divine Powerball was thrown out, Ice Spirit did not panic. Then, a Qilin formed from Ice Divine Power rushed into the sky. After soaring in the air for a few rounds, the Ice Qilin directly swooped down towards Hong Sui Divine Powerball. With a loud explosion, Hong Sui Ball of Divine Power shattered, while the Ice Qilin continued to soar in the sky unscathed. The backlash from the Divine Power caused Hong Sui to take a few large steps back and spit out a few mouthfuls of blood. His face was as white as paper. He looked at Bing Pe as if he had seen a ghost. Then, he couldn't help but ask, who are you? This person was too strong. One had to know that the ball of divine power he had released just now was close to his full strength, but the other party not only easily caught it, but also caused him to suffer a backlash, while he himself was not even injured. Such a difference in strength caused Hong Sui to be shocked beyond words. My father is an ice spirit. After hearing Hong Sui words, Bing Yao said with a proud expression, Ice spirit? Hong Sui savored the name and wanted to remember it forever. However, he was suddenly stunned. Ice spirit. Ice spirit. No wonder he felt that the name was familiar. Wasn't the leader of the Qilin clan called Bing Pe? However, he would never believe that the handsome young man in front of him was Ice Soul. After all, according to what he knew, Ice Soul had been severely injured in the past. Without a good healing elixir, the Ice Spirit would not be able to stand in front of him in one piece even after tens of thousands of years. At least in terms of strength, Ice Spirit would definitely decline. But now he didn't feel like Ice Spirit's power had decreased at all. He thought that the person might be the Qilin clan leader, but he didn't want to believe it. At this time, Mu Sheng stepped forward and bowed to Ice Soul. She asked, Senior, are you the Qilin clan chief? No, Ice Spirit denied. Thanks. When Mu Sheng heard this, she was stunned. Could he have made a mistake? However, Ice Spirit laughed evilly and said, The news of your Dark Family Alliance is so outdated. Didn't you hear that the Qilin clan chief has been replaced? Mu Sheng was embarrassed. Cold sweat was dripping from his body. Hearing the other party's words, he knew that the other party must be the patriarch of the Qilin clan. However, as far as he knew, the Qilin clan's patriarch had always been very serious. Why was he joking now? Mu Sheng explained helplessly, We haven't received the news yet because we've been in seclusion. Oh, then you should know by now. Speak. What do you plan to do to us? Kill me and then roast my son for meat? Ice Spirit asked. She did not even consider Mu Sheng's pale and trembling body. The question of Ice Spirit made Mu Sheng afraid and worried. Sob, Senior, can you not play like this? Who would dare to kill you or roast your son? It's not like he was tired of living. No, there was indeed someone who was tired of living before, but this really had nothing to do with him. Most of the people of the Dark Clan were innocent. Senior, we don't have such thoughts. After a long silence, Mu Sheng could not help but ask, You don't have any? Did I make a mistake? But that Jiao Yu and your Vice Alliance leader, Hong, both said that they want to eat my son. Ice Spirit asked. How was he supposed to answer? Mu Sheng didn't know what to do with Ice Soul's question. He couldn't help but look at Uncle Long, who returned him a smile and said, Jiu also said that Master Ning and I should guard the door for her. He even planned to have some of the prettiest men in Demon City serve him well. Of course, that was after your Dark Family Alliance had taken us in. Uncle Long's words made Ice Soul's expression turn even uglier. He nodded and said, Yes, she also let me serve her. Fuck, this hatred was really strong. Although he had already heard a part of what Uncle Long and Ice Soul had told him, it was a completely different feeling to hear it from Uncle Long and Ice Soul. When he heard Mu Duo's words, he was so angry that he wanted to expel the Hong family from the Dark Family Alliance. However, after hearing what Uncle Long and Ice Spirit said, he had the urge to faint, because this matter was already so serious that even if the Hong family was expelled, it wouldn't be able to be resolved perfectly. It was obvious that Ice Spirit's anger would not subside anytime soon. In addition to the fact that Hong Sui had just deepened his original hatred, he was not confident that Uncle Long would speak up for the Dark Clan Alliance on his account. I wonder how Senior would like to resolve this matter. After thinking for a long time, Mu Sheng decided not to use a roundabout tactic, but to ask a direct question. You guys have to be the one asking. Anyway, I will always remember that someone wanted to roast my son and eat him. Fuck, I only have one son, and someone wants to eat him. Do you think this matter can be resolved? When Ice Spirit said this, he was angry again. This matter definitely can't be settled peacefully. Wasn't this obvious? After a moment of worry, Mu Sheng's attitude was very good as she continued. Senior, if you have any ideas, please let us know. The Dark Family Alliance will definitely satisfy you. Do you think that I want to make a condition? Ice Spirit raised her eyebrows and asked. His words left Mu Sheng at a loss. This senior was indeed as difficult to serve as the rumors said. Mu Sheng didn't know what to say anymore. Well, what should he do? Chapter 28:20. Who's bullying who? 3. Senior, my ancestor doesn't mean that you want to make conditions with us. What he means is that he is willing to pay you for the emotional damage. After all, this matter was caused by our Dark Family Alliance. We can't escape the blame. Seeing that the old ancestor was at a loss for words, Mu Duo quickly added, That's right, that's what I meant. Giving Mu Duo a look of admiration, Mu Sheng quickly nodded and said, This little fellow sure knows how to talk. Ice Spirit looked at Mu Duo before turning to Lung Ruoxue and asked, Shue, it'll take over the entire Hong family. As for the emotional damages, it'll leave them to you. You're the best at this. After she finished speaking, Ice Spirit left with Hong Sui and the rest of the Hong family members, leaving an embarrassed Lung Ruoxue to stare at her. What did he mean by she was the best? Could she say that she was not at all? However, it was obvious that the Dark Clan Alliance had placed their hopes on her. They only hoped that she would quickly state the conditions to resolve this matter, so that they would not be so worried about the Ice Soul. It was a pity that Lung Ruoxue was at a loss of what to do. All the members of the Hong family were taken away by Ice Spirit. Although it was unknown if they were still alive, it was obvious that Ice Spirit didn't care about the Dark Family Alliance at all. If the other party was dissatisfied because of this, the negotiation might fall apart. With a probing attitude, Lung Ruoxue smiled faintly and asked, What do you think about Hong Sui and the others? We don't have any opinions. As long as Senior Ice Soul is happy, Mu Sheng quickly said. This was really disloyal. Lung Ruoxue was suspicious of whether they could work together with such an alliance of dark clans. At the thought of this, Lung Ruoxue's attitude suddenly turned cold. She spoke in a businesslike manner. In that case, they'll leave the Hong family to Senior Ice Soul. Well, leave their lives to fate. No problem, Mu Sheng nodded. He didn't dare to have any problems. After all, the Hong family was only one family, while the Dark Family Alliance had dozens of families. He had to consider the interests of most families. In addition, the Hong family had always been arrogant, and they weren't very popular in the alliance. Therefore, he had no qualms about abandoning the Hong family. However, he didn't expect that his decision to abandon the Hong family so easily would cause Lung Ruoxue to be dissatisfied with the Dark Alliance. However, if he had known, he would have still chosen to do so. What about emotional damage? Lung Ruoxue asked again. As long as we can afford it, everything is fine. Mu Sheng said generously. In that case, let's pay the mental damage fee first. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Last time? Not paying together? Mu Sheng's face was filled with question marks. Seeing that he did not understand, Lung Ruoxue patiently explained, Last time, Jiao Yu and Hong Village from your alliance came and made some arrangements for us. They have already caused great harm to our people, physically and mentally. We have also asked for compensation, so you have to pay the previous payment first, and then we will talk about this. You even brought this? At this moment, Mu Sheng had to admit that Lung Ruoxue was just like what Senior Ice Soul had said. She was very good at this. Look at him. He could even find a reason to ask for compensation for mental damage twice. What kind of IQ did he have? AI. Why didn't the Dark Clan Alliance have such a talent? It was no wonder Demon City had developed so quickly. Mu Sheng sighed and gave Mu Duo a look. The latter took a step forward and placed a storage ring on the table beside Lung Ruoxue. Lung Ruoxue picked up the ring and glanced at it. Then, she looked at Mu Duo with a smile that was not a smile and said, Alliance Master Mudwa is too dishonest. He clearly brought money, but he still doesn't admit it. Fuck. He didn't deny it, okay? He didn't have the time to say it. However, without giving Mu Duo a chance to speak, Lung Ruoxue continued, since the money from last time has been settled, let's discuss the compensation this time. Thanks, in fact, there was no need to discuss it. Everyone in the Dark Family Alliance, from Mu Sheng to the ordinary elders, knew about Bing Pio's identity. How would they dare to bargain with Lung Ruoxue and the others? They couldn't wait for this matter to end so that the ice spirit wouldn't cause them trouble again. Hence, at this moment, they had no objections to any of Lung Ruoxue's conditions. They raised both their hands and feet in agreement. At the same time, the entire Dark Association was prepared to pay a huge price. This time, they were absolutely willing to pay. He only hoped that it would calm Ice Spirit's anger. After all, it was a great humiliation for any powerful cultivator to eat someone else's son and ask for their father's service. In addition, Ice Spirit was not the only powerhouse in Demon City. This was even more of a no-no delay. Lung Ruoxue was speechless when she saw how helpless everyone was. However, she could more or less understand their thoughts. After all, both Ice Spirit and Demon City were not to be trifled with. But when she thought of Uncle Long, Lung Ruoxue still gave Mu Sheng some face and did not ask for too much. However, the amount of compensation from the 2 times was still enough to make the Dark Clan Alliance's heart ache. The pain was gone, but the matter was finally resolved. The Dark Family Alliance could finally let go of their worries. After the incident, Uncle Long naturally had to chat with his old friends. Lung Ruoxue personally went to see Ice Spirit and reported the incident to him. Who knew that Ice Soul did not care about Lung Ruoxue's conditions at all. Instead, she generously said to Lung Ruoxue, all the compensation will be considered as living expenses for the father and son in Demon City. Lung Ruoxue could only nod her head after hearing Bing Pio's words. Then, she could not help but ask, Senior, how do you plan to deal with the Hong family? She knew that Jiao Yu and the others weren't killed at all. Ice Spirit was completely lying to Hong Sui. When I'm done venting my hatred, they'll send them to hell. Ice Spirit replied without thinking. I also want to go to hell. Hearing this, Lung Ruoxue couldn't help but ask. Bing Pomo, this girl's way of thinking is really different. Senior, can you break open the void? Lung Ruoxue thought about this possibility and asked again. Although she was often in seclusion, she had always been thinking about this question. She had even asked Uncle Long, but Uncle Long and the others had told her that to break open the void, she would need a lot of divine power. In addition, she also needed to know the other party's accurate coordinates. In fact, with the Reverent God-level cultivators from Netherworld Prison, the coordinates were not important. What was important was divine power, and the amount of divine power needed to break the void was beyond ordinary people's imagination. Even a powerful Reverent God like Uncle Long didn't dare to try it. If he failed, the backlash would be quite serious. Ice Soul was silent for a while and then said, if I was at my peak, I could still try. But now I definitely can't. AI. Lung Ruoxue sighed. It seemed like she could only work hard on her cultivation. After all, she couldn't let others be in danger because of her own matters. The depressed Lung Ruoxue then returned to her room listlessly. As for Ice Spirit, he could not make head or tail of Lung Ruoxue's sudden change. However, he was not nosy enough to ask. After all, who did not have their own secrets? After Lung Ruoxue returned to her room, she learned from her painful experience and sent someone to inform Uncle Long and the others that she was going into seclusion. This time, even if the Emperor came, she wouldn't receive him. Naturally, Uncle Long had no objections to Lung Ruoxue's effort in cultivation. However, Mu Sheng, who was present at the scene, felt depressed. From the looks of it, he knew that Lung Ruoxue did not care about the Dark Family Alliance at all. However, he could not blame her for this. After all, it was the idiots from the Dark Family Alliance who messed up the matter. After thinking this through, Mu Sheng immediately adjusted her emotions and said to Uncle Long with a smile, "Old Man Long, Lung Ruoxue is in closed-door cultivation now. Our cooperation." Although Mu Sheng had only finished half of her sentence, Uncle Long had already understood what she was thinking. He sighed helplessly and said, "Old Man Mu, although I really want to help you, I'm embarrassed to ask for your help after what the Dark Family Alliance has done in the past. Look at you. Why did you have to create an alliance? This is great. Your level has been completely pulled down, Sai." Uncle Long kept sighing as he spoke, which made Mu Sheng feel depressed. Then, Mu Sheng also complained dejectedly. "If I didn't make the alliance, my days wouldn't have been easy. I originally thought that with the alliance, the families would be able to help each other, but now it seems that I've thought too highly of some people. That's right. People like Hong Sui are like mud that can't hold up a wall." Uncle Long said with a look of disdain. In the past, he had looked down on Hong Sui in every possible way, and it was even more so now. "What's the point of saying all this now? Do you have any way to restore my position in the hearts of the other people in Demon City?" Mu Sheng begged, depressed. Difficult. It was difficult. Dongfang Yu, Dongfang Lin, and I Spirit are all our seniors, but now they've been humiliated because of the Hong family. I'm afraid they won't forgive you so easily. Also, that girl Shui has always been protective and vengeful. It won't be easy to get past her. Uncle Long thought for a while and said helplessly, "But didn't our Dark Family Alliance already compensate you unconditionally for your mental damage?" Hearing Uncle Long's words, Mu Sheng could not help but ask, "You think that's all? That's just not because I'm angry about your compensation, nothing else." Uncle Long glanced at Mu Sheng and reminded her. Chapter 28-21. Caught. 1. When Mu Sheng heard this, she immediately drooped her head, her body exuding a faint, sorrowful aura. Seeing this, Uncle Long didn't know what to say except to sigh in sympathy. This matter, Mu Sheng was quite unlucky, but what could she do now that it had already happened? He could only accept it. Patting Mu Sheng on the shoulder, Uncle Long consoled her. "Your Dark Family Alliance should perform well in the future. As time passes, perhaps the people of Demon City will forgive you and act as if nothing had happened. Will you?" "Uncle Long?" Mu Sheng asked, looking at Uncle Long with hope. "We will," Uncle Long promised. In fact, he was not sure, but he could only say this to comfort his old friend. With Uncle Long's assurance, Mu Sheng's gloominess was greatly reduced. At least, he could still see hope, right? In reality, he was in a hurry to form an alliance with Demon City. Other than Demon City's extraordinary strength, the existence of Ice Soul, the former clan leader of the Qilin clan, was one of the reasons why he was so proactive. As an expert who had lived for a long time, how could Mu Sheng not see the potential of Lung Ruoxue and the others? Demon City's future was limitless. Therefore, he really hoped to become the Dark Family's ally before Demon City was fully developed. That way, the Dark Family Alliance would be able to obtain great benefits. This would be of great benefit to the future development of the Dark Family Alliance. But now, AI. Thinking of the things the Hong family had done, Mu Sheng was in a bad mood again. After staying in Demon City for a few days and getting to know Uncle Dragon, Master Ning, and the others better, Mu Sheng left Demon City with a large group of people from the Dark Family Alliance. After watching Mu Sheng and the others leave, Master Ning turned to Uncle Long and asked curiously, "You guys good gay friends? What about us?" Uncle Long was bewildered. There was something wrong with the old man's eyes. He was secretly on guard. "Nothing. I just feel that your relationship seems to be quite unusual." Master Ning was afraid that Uncle Long would be angry, so he naturally wouldn't say anything, so his words were very subtle. "Our relationship is very ordinary." Uncle Long looked at Master Ning and said calmly, "Fuck." He knew that this old man would let his thoughts run wild. This old bastard. Uncle Long really wanted to beat him up. However, he didn't make it clear, so Uncle Long felt that he had no reason to do so. "You bastard." For Shui's sake, he had to endure it. "That means he treats you differently." Master Ning could feel that Uncle Long was a little angry, but he couldn't stop gossiping, so he changed the topic. Uncle Long was silent. He resisted the urge to beat someone up and shouted, "You're wrong. He just can't bear to part with you." Slander. This was definitely slander. Master Ning was furious. You can't wrong people like this. The one Mu Sheng couldn't bear to part with was obviously Uncle Long. But now Uncle Long was pouring dirty water on her. This was really too much. Master Ning wanted to cry, but no tears came out. He couldn't help but shout in his heart, "Shui, someone is bullying your godfather." Uncle Long was happy to see Master Ning's face fall because of what he had said. He deserved it. Who asked him to gossip? He was bored. Uncle Long felt that he had vented his hatred. But then he was also worried. With Shui in closed-door cultivation, they really didn't have anything to do. AI, how should he spend this time? Thanks, Uncle Long was conflicted and suddenly fell silent. Then, Uncle Long and Master Ning sat in the room and stared at each other. A few days later, Uncle Long and Master Ning received the news that Ming Ji and the others had arrived. Uncle Long and Master Ning were both shocked by the news. Minga and the others had arrived, but had that demon returned? With a trace of curiosity, the two immediately went to see Ming Ji and the others. In the living room, besides Dongfang Yu and Dongfang Lin, there were only the four of them. "Didn't the Dark Lord come?" Master Ning said disappointedly, as he didn't see the monster. "How could the Lord be here? With the obstruction of the laws of heaven and earth, he can't come here openly. However, we did receive Mu Li's voice transmission. His Lord has some words for us to pass on to Miss Lung." Minga said, a look of struggle on her face. What did he mean by receiving Mu Li's voice transmission? Didn't you go back to the Netherworld jail? Master Ning asked in confusion. "No, I didn't. Without Master breaking the void, the price we have to pay to return is very high, so we simply stayed." Minga said matter-of-factly. After hearing Ming Ji's words, Master Ning, Uncle Long, and the others were all depressed. Ever since the evildoers had been sent back to the Nether prison by the laws of heaven and earth, the four of them had disappeared without a trace. At that time, they had thought that they had also been teleported back. Who knew that the four of them had not left the divine world at all? If you didn't leave the divine realm, then where were you all during this period of time? Uncle Long couldn't help asking. "Let's go for a walk," Ming Ji replied with a smirk. Such an answer made Uncle Long and the others even more speechless. These four heartless bastards. Their master had already been sent back, but these four guys still had the mood to wander around. It was really too hateful. It had to be said that the four of them were very good at pulling aggro. But Ming Song didn't seem to care and continued to ask, "Where is Miss Lung?" "His Lord has a message for me. Shui has gone into seclusion." Uncle Long replied indifferently. "Then, this." Minga was at a loss. "Let's wait for Shui to come out and tell her." Before she went into seclusion, Shui said that no one or anything was to disturb her. Uncle Long said honestly, "All right then. AI, it's really too unfortunate." Minga said with a look of regret. "Shui is also working hard on her cultivation." Master Ning said with a smile. "Yes." Ming Ji nodded. Only by cultivating hard could she meet her lord as soon as possible. Therefore, he was very supportive of Lung Ruoxu's closed-door cultivation. But he was afraid that his lord would be disappointed. But he believed that his lord would definitely understand. "We found two people. Are you interested?" he asked with a mysterious smile. "Who is it?" Uncle Long and the others immediately asked. With Cher in seclusion and Demon City gradually getting back on track, everyone was so bored that when they heard Ming Song's words, they were all extremely excited. "Hee. If you're interested, you can come with us and you'll know," Minga said, keeping him in suspense. "Then let's go take a look," Uncle Long and the others said helplessly when they saw that Ming Ji refused to tell them. Of course, they couldn't all go, so after some discussion, they asked Dongfang Yu to stay at home. Although Dongfang Yu was reluctant, what could he do when his younger brother had already abandoned him by obeying the majority? Chapter 28-22. Caught, 2. As for Uncle Long and the others, who were so bored that they were panicking, after deciding on the candidates to stay behind, they immediately pulled Minga and the others along and set off. After walking for a long time, Ming's group of 4 finally brought Uncle Long and the others to the edge of a cliff that no one knew about. This is the place. Minga pointed to the cliff not far away and said to Uncle Long and the others, "This place." Uncle Long and the others were puzzled. What were they doing in the wilderness? Didn't they say that they found 2 people? Could the 2 of them be at the bottom of the cliff? Seeing the thoughts of Uncle Long and the others, Minga nodded and said, "He's down there." "Then what are we waiting for? Let's go down and take a look." Master Ning said immediately. After saying that, he was the first to jump down. Uncle Long and the others followed closely behind. When they reached the bottom of the cliff, Uncle Long and the others were depressed to find that the bottom of the cliff was so dark that they couldn't even see their fingers. In order not to alert the enemy, they didn't dare to light a fire. "Follow me closely, it's over there." At this time, Minga sent a message to Uncle Long and the others. Then, Uncle Long and the others quietly followed Ming Ji. Fortunately, everyone's night vision ability was not bad, and they were all Reverend God level cultivators, so their spiritual sense had a wide range. Otherwise, in this place where they couldn't even see their own fingers, even walking would be a problem. After a long time, Minga stopped again, pointed to a spot of light in the distance, and said, "It's the place with light in front. The person is there." Upon hearing this, Uncle Long and the others instantly became 120,000% alert and quickly approached the target. When they were about 100 meters away from their target, Minga stopped again and continued to transmit his voice to everyone. "You guys stay here for the time being, they'll go get the person out." Uncle Long and the others nodded, but they were more and more curious about the person Ming Ji was talking about. However, they didn't have time to think for too long before they saw a fire rising from the ground. Then a ball of fire flew into the sky. Then there was another golden light. This was... "You bastard! Aren't they the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King?" After a long observation, the crowd finally confirmed the identity of the 2 people mentioned by Ming Ji. They had been looking for these 2 guys, both openly and secretly. Now that they had found them, they naturally couldn't let them escape. With the same thought, Uncle Long and the others leaped into the air and surrounded the Dragon Emperor and Phoenix King. The Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King, who had been planning to join forces to deal with Ming Ji, were a little flustered when they saw so many people suddenly appear around them. However, they quickly pretended to be calm and said with disdain, "What? You guys plan to gang up on me? A group fight? Good idea." Uncle Long touched his chin and smiled evilly. "Dragon Whale, you're also an expert. How can you collude with the humans?" Hearing this, the Dragon Emperor immediately raged. "What do you mean by colluding with humans? You're still in cahoots with that foggy bitch. Why didn't you say anything?" Uncle Long said with a smile. "Ha ha, of course he wouldn't say it. He's a man who relies on women to get to his position. How could he have the nerve to say it?" Dongfang Lin chimed in. The Dragon Emperor was so angry that he almost vomited blood. "Fuck, that detestable dragon whale. Despicable humans. One day, he'll take care of you all." The Dragon Emperor secretly complained, but what about now? The Dragon Emperor did not have the slightest confidence that he could escape from these people. However, it was clearly even more impossible for him to surrender without putting up a fight. After thinking for a while, he gave the Phoenix King a look, hoping that the Phoenix King would make the first move. However, the Phoenix King, who did not trust the Dragon Emperor, did not move at all. She only looked at the Dragon Emperor. The Dragon Emperor was furious. Suddenly, his and the Phoenix King's eyes met. Uncle Long couldn't stand the 2 of them being so affectionate. "Ayaya, can you guys restrain yourselves? You're casting amorous glances at us in public. Won't we get a needle's eye if we see it?" eyes. The Dragon Emperor and Phoenix King felt a chill and quickly turned their heads away, no longer looking at each other. However, their actions were also maliciously seen by Uncle Long as a cover-up. You're really shy. Was there a need for that? Although you're from different races, true love is not a sin. It'll definitely support your love. Uncle Long glanced at the other party and smiled. Dragon Whale. Damn it. You shut up. The Phoenix King fire roared. Why should I shut up? Even if you're the Phoenix King, you can't stop my freedom of speech, right? Uncle Long was not happy to be yelled at. At this time, Master Ning said, Uncle Long, why are you wasting your breath on them? Just take them down and take them back. Detestable. Who do you want to take care of? As soon as Master Ning finished speaking, the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King became even angrier, and they questioned him in unison. Besides the two of you, is there anyone else here? Master Ning said with a smile. Damn it, I won't let you off. Seeing that the other party had already named him, the Phoenix King could no longer control her anger and directly transformed into her original form, pouncing towards Master Ning. Heavens, the Phoenix King has gone crazy. Master Ning saw this and shouted exaggeratedly. Then he dodged the attacks of the Phoenix King in all directions. Master Ning's movements were extremely flexible, and every time the Phoenix King's attack was about to touch him, he would be able to dodge it. This fact also made the Phoenix King extremely depressed. How detestable! She didn't believe that she couldn't hit him. The Phoenix King was furious. Before she attacked, she turned to the Dragon Emperor and roared. What are you waiting for? Come and help. I'm coming. The Phoenix King was just about to nod in satisfaction when she realized that it was not the Dragon Emperor who had spoken, but Uncle Long. Then, Uncle Long also joined in the fight between Master Ning and the Phoenix King. The Phoenix King, who already had a headache, almost spat out a mouthful of blood when she saw that she had another opponent. Fuck, why did men know how to be tender to women these days? She was a woman, but Uncle Long was still ruthless, and Master Ning was responsible for angering her. The two of them divided the work and cooperated with each other, and their cooperation was called tacit understanding. However, the Phoenix King, who accidentally caught a glimpse of the Dragon Emperor's current state, instantly felt balanced. This was because the Dragon Emperor was currently surrounded by 4 Reverent God level experts. In comparison, she was extremely lucky, but she didn't want to be so lucky. She couldn't even wait to avoid these people, so why would she be willing to get entangled with them? However, the current situation clearly did not allow her to leave, even if she was unwilling. It didn't take long for the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King to be exhausted to the point of panting. Uncle Long and the others were taking turns to rest. The Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King were so angry that they almost fainted. In the end, the Dragon Emperor and Phoenix King, who were exhausted from the torture, had no choice but to become each other's prisoners. When the Dragon Emperor and Phoenix King were captured and brought back to Demon City, they immediately became negative examples and were put in cages for display. Meanwhile, Demon City's residents had long since heard of these two famous players. Now that they saw one of them alive, they naturally wanted to take a good look at them. Chapter 28-23. Caught 3. The Dragon Emperor and Phoenix King, who felt the crowd pointing at them, wished they could just faint. But now, they couldn't just faint as they wished. The hatred they had for Uncle Long and the others was like a raging river that would never stop. But Uncle Long and the others obviously didn't mind the fire in his eyes. In order to keep the two of them company, Uncle Long even brought the White Tiger King along. This time, the 3 brothers and sisters were finally gathered together. The White Tiger King, who thought that it was innocent, was resentful of the treatment it had received. Because before the Phoenix King and the Dragon Emperor came here, he had the authority of a tiger aside for doing some heavy physical work. But now, he had really become a tiger to be admired. How could he bear this? Instantly, he began to hate the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King. In fact, the people he wanted to hate the most were Uncle Long and the others, but he didn't dare to hate them, so he could only blame his anger on the Dragon Emperor and the Phoenix King. Not long after, The three beast kings, who all had hatred in their hearts, began to fight in the huge cage. When they saw the three beasts killing each other, the crowd was stunned for a moment. When they came back to their senses, someone immediately went to inform Uncle Long and the others. However, when Uncle Long and the others heard this news, they didn't think much of it. Fight! Fight! It's healthier to fight. And keeping the three of them in the same cage was to make them kill each other. In the end, Uncle Long and the others heard that the three beastie fought very fiercely and were all injured quite badly. However, no one cared how badly they were injured. Time passed. 3 months after the Dragon Emperor, the Phoenix King, and the White Tiger King were locked up in cages. Ice Soul received the news and went to see them with Bing Yao. One couldn't blame him for not having access to information. The main reason was that he had also brought his son into closed-door cultivation recently. After all, his son's strength was too low now, and the Ice Phoenix was a beastie that didn't really like to cultivate. Thus, he could only force his son to cultivate hard. However, he didn't dare to push his son too hard. Otherwise, little Ice Phoenix would disown him as a father in a rage. Where'd he go to cry then? Holding the Ice Phoenix in front of the giant cage, Ice Spirit took a look and shook his head. These three guys had betrayed their king, and didn't they end up like this now? Originally, as Beastie himself, he did not want to see Beastie being treated like this. However, facing these three people, he could not sympathize with them at all. He brought this upon himself. Father, why have they been locked up? Bing Yao blinked her clear blue eyes, looking at the three people in front of her and asking in confusion. It had not been long since it was awakened by Lung Ruoxue, so it was not clear about the grudges between Lung Ruoxue and the others and these three fellows. No one had told it about it, so it was extremely curious at this moment. If you do something wrong, you'll be locked up, Ice Spirit said. Oh, so they had done something wrong? However, wouldn't it take up a lot of space to lock him up? It was better to just kill him directly. It's good to save effort. Bing Yao tilted her head and seemed to be talking to herself. Upon hearing this, Ice Spirit broke out in a cold sweat. He didn't expect his son to have violent genes. However, this was more like the son of Ice Spirit. Ice Spirit said narcissistically. The conversation between the father and son had successfully alarmed the three dejected people in the cage who had long been tortured to the point of losing their temper. The Dragon Emperor and the other two were stunned the moment they raised their heads. After coming back to his senses, the Dragon Emperor stammered. This person is not. What about me? What? You want to pretend you don't know him? Ice Spirit sneered. In fact, he had seen the three little fellows in the cage before. They were once considered his juniors, but ever since they betrayed their old friends, they had become thorns in his eyes. You're Senior Ice Soul? The Phoenix King could not believe it and asked carefully. I'm an Ice Spirit. As for your senior, am not worthy of it. Ice Spirit did not give the Phoenix King any face. Senior, we were forced to do so back then. The Phoenix King knew what the Ice Spirit was angry about, so she could only speak pitifully in an attempt to gain the Ice Spirit's sympathy. Unfortunately, Ice Spirit hated betrayal the most in his life, so it was impossible for him to forgive the three of them. It was not up to him to decide whether he would let them go or not. Therefore, the Phoenix King had expressed the wrong feelings. However, when Bing Yao heard this, she asked curiously, You have no choice. Who forced you? It's Rhyme Ice. She's forcing us, and if we don't do as she says, she'll kill us. The Phoenix King thought that there was a way to turn the situation around and said to Bing Yao with tears in her eyes, If she didn't hear wrongly, this little Qilin was the son of Ice Spirit, right? If she could win the sympathy of this little Qilin, she felt that she should still have a chance to get out of this cage. However, who knew that Bing Yao would only say with a face full of regret, What a pity. Why didn't that old woman say that I would kill you if you did as I said? Thanks. What was the meaning of this? The Phoenix King was dumbfounded. Then, she heard Bing Yao say fiercely, Bastard, my father abandoned me, so that he wouldn't be threatened by that old woman. But you cowards did unforgivable things just to live. Why don't you all just go to hell? In little Zuexu's words, it's a waste of food for you dead things to live. Father, destroy them. I don't want to see them. Bing Yao turned around and said to Bing Po with a bitter expression, All right. Ice Spirit wouldn't refuse his son's request. He knew that his son probably felt the same way and felt wronged. How detestable. The father-son relationship that he had tried so hard to mend must not be worsened by these three idiots. Then, Ice Spirit raised one hand, and divine power slowly gathered in her palm. Seeing more and more divine power gathering in Ice Spirit's hand, the Phoenix King and the other two's hearts started to beat wildly. The Phoenix King had never even dreamed that because of a few words from him, that little Qilin would want to kill him. The White Tiger King and the Dragon Emperor, who had been innocently implicated by her, were also extremely depressed. For the first time, the three of them realized that they were so close to death. A heavy pressure slowly enveloped the three of them, making them feel as if their breathing was heavy. A deathly silence and suffocating atmosphere pressed down on the three of them. Senior, please spare the beast. Just when the three of them felt that they were about to die, a familiar and hateful voice rang in their ears. What? You don't want to kill them? Isol asked in a bad tone as she glanced at Uncle Long. Senior, you misunderstand. How could I not want to kill them? It's just that Shui needs beast to train her beast-taming skills, so Uncle Long quickly explained. He only finished half of his sentence, but he believed that Ice Spirit would understand. All right, then I'll spare their lives for now. They'll kill them after Shui is done using them. Ice Spirit said considerately. That's not a problem. Uncle Long promised. Just like that, the fate of the Phoenix King and the other two were decided. They would first train Long Ruoxue with the beast-taming technique. After the beast-taming technique was used up, they would be handed over to Ice Spirit. When Uncle Long and Ice Spirit decided the fate of these three, they did not even consider the thoughts of their respective clans. When the Phoenix King and the other two heard this, their faces instantly turned as pale as paper. The White Tiger King couldn't take the shock and fainted. Ice Soul shook his head even more violently. Such a person who was afraid of death actually dared to do something like betraying. It was really unimaginable. Sighing, Ice Soul held her son in disgust and left quietly. At this moment, Long Ruoxue, who was cultivating hard her bracelet, had no idea that Uncle Long and the rest had captured the Dragon Emperor and Phoenix King and were preparing to let her tame them. However, she couldn't pay attention to that right now. At this time, she was fully absorbing the spiritual energy in the bracelet that was so dense that it was almost solid in order to feed her huge appetite. However, after absorbing it for nearly 3 months, she found that the spiritual energy in her body was only a little thicker than a strand of hair. This fact made her extremely depressed. She could not help but summon Green Vessel. Long Ruoxue asked gloomily, Green Vessel, with this absorption method, I think it will take at least 1,000 years to store enough spiritual qi. She had long known that she needed an enormous amount of spiritual energy, so even if she was not yet perfect in alchemy and other aspects, she had decided to save enough spiritual energy first and then specialize in other things. But now, it had only been 3 months, and she was depressed. Sister, calm down. You have the chaotic body, so it's normal for you to need a lot of spiritual energy. The heaven-defying arts is no ordinary technique, so it's only natural that you need even more. Besides, this is a path that you must take. Once you've cultivated the heaven-defying art to the great circle of the 9th stage, not only can you go to the 9 Nether prison to find the demonic man, but you can also take revenge for your old master. Qingju's face was filled with anticipation. He believed that these 2 reasons were enough to support his sister's will and make her work harder in her cultivation. As expected, after hearing Qingju's words, Long Ruoxue's beautiful eyes shone with determination. Then, she said in frustration, Qingju, I will work hard in my cultivation. I won't let my thoughts run wild. That's more like it. Sister, you can do it. Qingju clenched his small fist and encouraged. Long Ruoxue nodded and closed her eyes to absorb the spirit qi. Qingju only nodded in satisfaction and left when he saw the large amount of spiritual energy in the bracelet rushing into his sister's body from all directions. At the same time, the evildoers in the Nine Nether prison also learned that Shui was cultivating in seclusion. Although Mingji didn't pass on his words, he still felt excited when he knew that Shui was working so hard to cultivate so that she could come to see him as soon as possible. He also needed to work hard. He would try his best to find trouble with the laws of heaven and earth. You bastard! Since he dared to separate him and Shui, he had to be mentally prepared for his revenge. Although he had been quiet for a while, it didn't mean that he had forgotten what the laws of heaven and earth had done to him. Looking up at the dark purple lightning floating not far away, the demon revealed an evil smile. Chapter 28-24 Chaotic World 1. Since he couldn't see Shui, it seemed like he could only go and accompany the laws of heaven and earth. With this thought in mind, the demon's smile became even more brilliant, but the dark purple lightning in the distance couldn't help but shiver. The laws of heaven and earth in the chaos further away also began to feel uneasy for no reason. However, the uneasiness in its heart was transmitted back by the lightning that he had arranged to monitor the evildoer. This made it wonder if that guy had come up with some kind of trick again. It secretly opened a window in the vast chaos and looked down. When it found that everything was normal, it heaved a sigh of relief. It was still all right. It was still all right. Although the demonic man often insulted it, at least he had not lost his mind and done anything irredeemable. It was relieved. In fact, it didn't want to be a villain and break up a couple. However, as a rule that was born from chaos and was responsible for executing the laws of heaven and earth, it had to do so. Who asked that guy to be a dangerous person with a strong dark attribute? If he was really allowed to wander around, the whole world would probably be paralyzed. In order to prevent this from happening, it could only control the movement of the dangerous people within the Nine Nether prison, which was the most suitable place for the evil man to live. Thinking about it carefully, the laws of heaven and earth felt that everything they did was based on a good reason and that it was only natural. Unfortunately, the evildoer would not think this way, nor would he be grateful for his dedication. After summoning Mu Li, the demon didn't say anything. He just quietly looked at Mu Li, who was originally calm, became uneasy, but he didn't say anything. In the end, Mu Li couldn't help but ask, "My lord, did I do something wrong?" When Mu Li asked this question, his little heart trembled, and he tried to recall his recent performance. Finally, he confirmed that he had not done anything to make his lord unhappy. He was sure. Then what was his lord trying to do now? Mu Li thought about it gloomily. Could it be that some blind person had offended his lord? But something was wrong. Recently, his lord was going through menopause, and as his subordinates, they all tried to stay as far away as possible. When there was nothing, they absolutely did not dare to appear easily to make his lord unhappy. So, he really couldn't think of what kind of temper his lord was having. Could it be that her menopause had worsened? Thinking of this possibility, the worry in Mu Li's heart increased. He deeply felt that without Lung Ruoxue, that demon, to restrict his lord, everything would be bad for them. Sob, Lung Ruoxue, quickly appear. Otherwise, they would have a mental breakdown because of their master's menopause. But now, Mu Li felt that he was developing in the direction of mental illness. After the demon sized up Mu Li, he asked indifferently, "How's your life recently? How's your life?" What was the meaning of this? His lord was actually concerned about their lives? Most of the time, his lord was like a sheep to them. Unless it was necessary, he never cared about their life and death. Not to mention now, he was so caring for them. This was not normal. This was definitely not normal. With this thought in mind, Mu Li carefully and sneakily sized up the evildoer with the corner of her eyes. Oh, just by looking at his appearance, his lord was as usual. Inside, it couldn't be seen with the eyes. Based on his understanding of his lord's words today were definitely abnormal. Master, could it be that he missed Lung Ruoxue so much that he went crazy? Could this be a sign of the initial stage of mental illness? He peeked at Mu Li, who was letting his imagination run wild, and he was deeply worried about the health of his lord. Thanks, shouldn't we find an alchemist to take a look at his lord's illness? Mu Li thought to himself, but then he realized that there was no alchemist in the Netherworld prison. Could it be that he had to sneak through the divine realm? However, he believed that no alchemist would be willing to come here. Mu Li was so conflicted that he sighed. Facing such a worried expression from his subordinate, the demon asked in confusion, "What's wrong? Life hasn't been going well recently? Which aspect?" The demon was laughing evilly in his heart. When Mu Li heard this, the hidden bitterness on her face deepened. It would be a wonder if it could go as he wished. One must know that they were on tenterhooks every day, afraid that their lord would flip out for no reason. Mu Li secretly complained in his heart, but he definitely did not dare to say this in front of his master. Seeing Mu Li's bitter and constipated expression flashing on his face from time to time, the demon deliberately misunderstood and put on a good master's posture. He asked with concern, "Do you want me to arrange a few women for you?" Why would he arrange for a woman? Mu Li was confused when she heard this. Could it be that the lord was trying to match a couple randomly? That's not right. His lord had never liked to meddle in this kind of thing. Don't be embarrassed. It's normal for men and women to be in love. Seeing that Mu Li just widened her eyes and looked at him in disbelief, the demon thought that Mu Li was embarrassed and consoled her very considerately. Who knew that after Mu Li heard this, she wanted to kneel down in front of her lord. "My lord, am not embarrassed." Mu Li wanted to cry, but no tears came out. She was wailing in her heart. Don't misunderstand. However, the demon had obviously misunderstood, and the misunderstanding was very deep. He nodded and said, "Since that's the case, he'll make the arrangements and find you a few good ones." You're not young anymore, but you're still alone. I can't bear to see you like this. Don't be heartless. My lord, you should be as cruel as before. Mu Li deeply felt that he was more used to the previous master. The current master, who was so caring and considerate to his subordinates, was definitely abnormal. Could he have been switched? Thinking of this possibility, Mu Li carefully observed the demon again. But after sizing up his master, he finally confirmed that his master was still the original master, but the way he did things was a little different. "My lord, I don't want a woman." Seeing that his lord had not been switched, Mu Li had to bite the bullet and refuse. "It's fine even if it's a man." The demon looked at Mu Li deeply and said, "You didn't want men either?" "My lord." Mu Li burst into tears. "My lord, don't be so considerate. He really couldn't afford it. You're welcome. This is something I should have done for you." Sighing, the evildoer said with an "I've failed my duty" expression, "Master, you've already done very well. As for the personal life of this subordinate, let us arrange it ourselves." Mu Li carefully suggested, "But I've been very bored recently. If you don't let me handle this matter, what else can I do?" The demon looked at Mu Li with a face full of resentment and said sadly, Mu Li was a little annoyed. Chapter 28-25, Chaotic World 2. He thought to himself, "Master, you're bored because you're pushing everything to me." If his lord was willing to take over Joyo City, he could guarantee that his lord would not have the time to be bored. However, he didn't dare to say it out loud, so he could only suggest, "My lord, do you want me to hand over Joyo City's affairs to you?" "Don't. I'm not interested in the affairs of Joyo City." The demon refused without even thinking. Upon hearing this, Mu Li wanted to cry to death. He knew it. Looking at the situation, his lord was determined to interfere in his private life. Mu Li was extremely depressed and racked his brains to think about what other way to make his lord give up interfering in his life. However, no matter how much he thought about it, he could only think of Lung Ruoxue. Unless Lung Ruoxue appeared in an instant, no one would have the ability to attract his lord's attention. Was he destined to be chased and blocked by a group of annoying women in the future? Thinking of this possibility, Mu Li couldn't help but shudder. Women are tigers. After witnessing Lung Ruoxu's valiance, it could be said that he no longer had any thoughts about women. She even thought that being single was pretty good. After that, would he still have the chance to continue doing whatever he wanted? The thought of one or more women interfering in his life and pointing fingers at him in the future made him feel disgusted. No, he would never allow such a thing to happen to him. After thinking for a while, Mu Li forced a smile and asked patiently, "Then what else is the Lord interested in, other than arranging a woman or man for him? I'm also quite interested in finding trouble with the rules of the heaven and earth. However, compared to finding trouble with the rules of the heaven and earth, I think it's easier to arrange a few women for you. So, which one do you think I should choose?" The demon asked with an evil smile. "My lord, I will definitely support you in finding trouble with the laws of the world." It was true. I swear on my loyalty that I will absolutely support your actions. After listening to his master's words, Mu Li immediately broke out in a cold sweat. However, in order to not die, he had to fearlessly sell out the rules of heaven and earth. Otherwise, he would be the master's toy. "Support me? How do you want to support me?" The demon asked with a smile. Mu Li was a little speechless. How could she support him? His small arms could not twist the thigh of the law of heaven and earth, so he could only support his lord with words. However, he had already realized that what his lord wanted was not just verbal support. For a moment, Mu Li felt a deep pain in her balls again. He felt that he had been tricked. "I'm afraid this is the Lord's ultimate goal." All those things about caring about his life and finding a few women for him might just be a smoke bomb that his lord had thrown out. Sob, his lord was too bad. It had to be said that Mu Li was right. The demon had gone through so much trouble just to lure Mu Li into his trap, although he could also use his authority to force his subordinates to agree with his decision. However, he believed that he was a democratic lord, so he could not force his subordinates to do something dangerous. At the same time, he also knew that once his plan was known by Mu Li, who was occasionally a little old-fashioned, it would inevitably cause strong opposition from the other party. Moreover, Mu Li was his left and right arm, so he naturally had to consider the other party's opinion. Thanks as such, he picked the thing that Mu Li was most afraid of and attacked. Mu Li had fallen for the trap. After thinking for a long time, Mu Li sighed and asked, "My lord, how do you plan to find trouble with the laws of heaven and earth?" Mu Li believed that his lord would not just scold the rules of heaven and earth like he did in the past. Otherwise, his lord would not scheme against him like this. Whoa, his lord has been corrupted. Mu Li especially missed the lore of the past, and the lord of the past was so obedient. But now the master was very, very bad, and this was definitely led astray by that human, Lung Ruoxu. Otherwise, why would his lord have so many thoughts? After forcing his master's bad behavior onto Lung Ruoxu, Mu Li felt much more comfortable. "I plan to bring you all to the nest of the laws of heaven and earth," the demon said. When Mu Li heard this, she blinked and blinked again. Seeing that her lord had a serious expression the whole time, he felt a headache again. "My lord, isn't the law of the heaven and earth's lair also your birthplace? Where could small fries like them go?" His lord's thoughts made Mu Li speechless for a while. In fact, he was too lazy to even ridicule her. As a matter of fact, to the people of Nine Nether Prison who were born and raised there, that place was undoubtedly mysterious. The laws of heaven and earth were a rather high and mighty existence to them. Now, his lord actually said that he would take them to the lair of the laws of heaven and earth. Mu Li felt a mouthful of blood stuck in his throat. He couldn't swallow it down, and his face turned red. In the end, he finally swallowed the mouthful of blood. After taking a long, deep breath, he finally calmed down and looked at his master helplessly. He said faintly, "My lord, I'm afraid we can't go there." "Don't worry, as long as I'm here, you guys can go," the demon said calmly. "But they won't get hurt? Wouldn't he lose his life?" Although Mu Li really wanted to ask this, He swallowed these questions when he saw his lord's confident expression. As a loyal subordinate, since his lord wanted to go, he naturally had to accompany his lord at the risk of his life. When he secretly disclosed the news to the city masters who were guarding the 9 Nether prison, he was surprised to find that those bastards were more excited and expectant than him. He was even more eager to try. These bastards, was he in such a hurry to find trouble with the laws of the heaven and earth? Weren't they afraid that the laws of heaven and earth would take revenge? Of course, this was because the muley was oversensitive. The laws of heaven and earth were the beings that were given by chaos to control order. They were extremely self-disciplined and naturally wouldn't do whatever they wanted like the demons. And if it really used public office for private revenge, it would probably be the first to be obliterated by the laws. Therefore, as the representative of the laws of heaven and earth, even in the face of the provocation of a monster, he could only silently endure it. More importantly, it would never have thought that the evildoer would bring his subordinates to its territory in such an aggressive manner. That's right, the only living being in the chaotic world was itself. The evildoer and the others who were born from the chaotic world also had their own missions. Therefore, they had always regarded the chaotic world as their own home. When they first saw the evildoer leading a large number of people here, their surprise was self-evident. Why are you here? Filled with shock and uneasiness, the laws of heaven and earth transformed into a ball of dark purple lightning and floated in front of the demon and the others, sizing them up. The large group of people in front of him, other than the demon's ruddy face and his refreshed complexion, all of them were pale and weak. However, this was normal. After all, this was no ordinary space. This place was a stretch of primal chaos, and it was not a place where these fellows could survive. Since they had come here, they would naturally have to pay a certain price. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.